Welcome to the People's Guild. If you are invested in Splinterlands or if you are just curious about Splinterlands, then this podcast is for you.
And if you like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy.
All right, well, welcome back to the People's Guild. We've got another special guest, and it's a little bit of a celebratory guest today. It's our second time having this man on the channel. He is also the first guest that we ever had on the channel. So welcome back, a belated happy birthday. And it's been a big couple of weeks for you. So appreciate you taking time to stop by the People's Guild. Welcome back, Aftersound.
Oh my gosh. Wow. What an intro. Thank you very much. That was unexpected, but I got to say, before we even jump into anything here, and I was saving this for when you hit record, I have been listening. And I think I've reached out to you guys, and I've really enjoyed the last couple episodes. But I just want to say that as a fan, right, as somebody who listens to podcasts a lot, I'm not just brown nosing here, but I really like the way that you guys interview. For you guys have a really good balance, and it's funny because we were just talking about how you guys communicate digitally, right, to get it. But the flow has been really good, and I've enjoyed the way that you guys jump in like into deep topics and really get the most out of all the guests that you have on. And obviously you've had some stellar guests lately with Aggie jumping in, and then I really enjoyed with Ali Straza and Mason, and then of course Darkest Night was on just a little while ago. So that was fun. It was one of the first times where I get to hear him talk for a long time and I'm not the one talking, so it was really enjoyable for me just from that perspective.
Oh, that's great to hear, man. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, like, just because it's like, I think we just celebrated our 6-month anniversary. So yeah, it's such a big learning curve, man. And you know, we've had some little mishaps along the way, but yeah, definitely we feel things are starting to click. So it's great to hear.
You know what it is? I mean, you're both really good conversationalists, right? And I think you ask interesting questions. Whereas, like, I mean, I've heard podcasts in the past where it's just like somebody's reading off a script. And obviously I did this with you guys early on, and I'm honored to be back again. So that's actually really exciting. But, you know, talking with you guys is super easy, and being able to listen to those conversations with other very interesting people has been a lot of fun for me.
Oh, man, highest praise, dude. Certainly appreciate that coming from, I mean, you've slowly, and I think looking back at your journey, and since we had you on 4 or 5 months ago, you have not let off the accelerator, dude. And you know, I think it's kind of come to the highest of highs for you thus far with just a couple of weeks ago, you rocking the suit and the fine threads and the mantle at Splinterfest. So it's been exciting watching you. And you know, like I said, we certainly appreciate the high praise, and it feels like we've hit stride a little bit. It feels like we've kind of found our conversational niche, if you will. And without riding my high horse too highly, I'll accept the praise and turn the mic back to you, man. What's it been like with the like? I feel like your Splinterlands journey internally has just hit Mach 9 the last couple of months, and what has that been like? Like, looking back and the timeline and the trajectory. How are you feeling, man?
You know, it's this past year has been an absolute blur. Like, honestly, it's the past couple of weeks with Splinterfest was fantastic. Obviously, being able to meet so many people in person and then be involved in the way that I was involved was super fun. And I mean, I'm honored just to obviously be included. But you know, I think Darkest Night even mentioned this on your show last week or whenever he was on, where it's just like, I was looking forward to Splinterfest as the same as him, where I'm just like, if 50 people show up and it just ends up being like this huge hangout for a weekend in Vegas, like that sounds like so much fun to me. And so it's like, if that's your baseline, everything that happened was like at a completely different level, mind-blowing level, right? And then obviously being involved in the way that that was unexpected. So to give you the timeline, I mean, a year ago, I had just started doing content on YouTube, and it was just something that was starting to grow, something I was like doing to spend my time and to meet more people in the community, right? So last September, October. So to be able to have it come full circle where I actually get to do that in the real world in Vegas was quite awesome.
What do you think like your days or your life will be like now without Splinterlands in it?
Oh my gosh, that would be so interesting. I mean, I probably would be streaming. I probably would be live streaming Web 2 games. I'd probably be live streaming more music related stuff because I know all the people who follow me for music have been screaming at me on Instagram, being like, "Why don't you go live here anymore?" I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm so knee deep into crypto stuff, and I love the game, and obviously being able to do so much with the team on the creative side has been a lot of fun for me. But yeah, I mean that's probably what it would look like, and that's what I had been doing for that what year and a half or so before discovering Splinterlands. Was I was doing live streams on YouTube, like behind the scenes, me working on music, me playing music sometimes, and then whenever I felt like playing, I'd jump on and do some Web 2 game that I can't even now. I was only gaming for like a year or a couple months. And it's like, I can't believe I spent so much time and money on these games that didn't give me anything in return. And here I am, like, after putting in all that time and energy, there's nothing to show for it. So it's like that
Yeah.
as soon as I discovered Splinterlands, and really not Splinterlands, but just like the concept of like NFT gaming, like that literally was a switch of a flip or flip of switch, whatever the saying is. And it's like, oh yeah, I don't know that I can ever go back. Not like in the same way that I was before. And it would be like pure enjoyment. But if I'm gonna be spending my time on stuff, it's gonna be Web3.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to the department store with my boy the other day, and he's mad into Pokemon, and there's like this game that they have these kind of like tokens, you're just slipping them into the machine and then you play. But it's just like, he's like asking for, like we're kind of in the process, like he's earning pocket money, he does chores around the house. And so he actually spent that. And then afterwards he's like saying, can I have some more money? I'm like, and like, just to give him money to put in that game that he gets nothing back from, it's kind of really like something in me. But yeah, that's
Give him a
story.
Pellicore Bandit.
Well, actually, he is. I take 10% out of what I give him, and I buy Pellicle Bandits or Pellicle Conjurers. So that's how, like, his little investment egg. Like, it's kind of quite hard for him to see. But yeah, occasionally he will ask. So yeah, I just want to ask, what have you got like a plan for where the Splinterland journey is taking you, or are you just rolling with it as it comes?
I mean, I wish I had a plan like this. This all was kind of random. The thing is, it's been really great to work with the team and obviously get to finally meet them. They're I mean, it's gonna sound like me drinking the Kool-Aid, and I guess to a certain extent it is, right? But I don't know, man. Like this is the most fun that I've ever had, like working with a company or working in a company, right? And to be very transparent, like I've done the corporate thing, and I was good at the corporate thing, and I appreciated like the structure and all that, and that's what I kind of appreciate with what Splinterlands is doing now. And so to be transparent, like I'm just a contractor with them. I'm not like a full-time employee. It's just a couple hours a week, but I love the way that so many people on the team like think about how to move this game forward, how to move this project forward, how to like build a community. Like I don't know, it's been a lot of fun. And maybe I'm just like naturally interested in this than like the supply chain stuff that I was into before, right? Where this is I feel like is the future. And so when it comes to like thinking about where this will go, I mean, all I know is I have the utmost respect for Nate as a creative director. And I don't know if you've had a chance to get him on, but I think that you totally should talk to him because
He's on the list.
I've seen him in action, several times. And I'm just like, you see him on the town hall, and when he comes on, he'll like give his little spiel and everybody only wants his eye candy, right? So, but seeing him behind the scenes where he's just like, oh, I got this vision and we're going to do this and that. And I'm just like, oh, like, okay, like there's a reason this man is as talented and in the position that he is, right? And I get excited thinking about what Splinterlands as an intellectual property can do, right? So the game is cool, the economy is cool, the tokens are cool, but it's like, where they want to take this by investing into creating storylines and characters and artwork and all this stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, we're talking comic books now, and we're kind of fantasizing about Netflix shows in the future, but it's like a fun joke that actually probably has some potential if they continue to develop and push it, right? And so obviously we're in a bear market now, so they're focusing their funds on trying to make sure that they can work through this. But Aggie keeps talking about like, oh, I can't wait until the next bear market. We're gonna like blow this thing up, and in a good way, right? So I get excited about, okay, well, what projects is he thinking about getting involved in, and what is and I know we're gonna talk about Splinterfest, for example. But with Splinterfest, I say this in a good way, but I think Aggie and Matt literally just showed up, right? So what they did is they brought on a fantastic group of people in the marketing side, creative side, that put together the entire show. And they showed up and they were just like in awe. And to me, that's good leadership in the sense of they wanted, they hired talented people to put on this event that they could just go to and enjoy, right? And again, it speaks to like the faith and confidence that they have in the team and their ability as leaders to delegate and not have to be in the day-to-day, right? Like Aggie loves to sell, Matt loves to think about how to design the economy, and they really brought in a whole team of people over the past year that are doing everything else to make this like Web3 of Steam or something, or the Steam of Web3.
Awesome thoughts, man. And yeah, and that just kind of reflecting on the conversation we had with Darkest Night and now your comments on Splinterfest, man, the FOMO was hitting hard. I know I mentioned this on the call with Darkest Night. FOMO was hitting hard when I was watching from a distance everything kind of unfold at Splinterfest, whether it was like the panels or the tournaments or just like the photos that were kind of streaming through on Twitter, and then having that conversation with Darkest Night, and he was beaming like ear to ear, just talking about like, oh, all the friends that I made. Like, it was such a cool experience. My son thinks I'm the boss now. Like, so funny. Cool. Yeah. It sounds like it was a total blast. And I really hope that the team is able to put together the Splinterfest Asia for next year. It sounds like there's a lot of indicators kind of pointing to the Philippines as potential prime real estate for that next one. But just to kind of, I would love to be in the presence of the leadership team and just kind of watch those guys take off their leadership hats and just enjoy as fans and like be casually present in, the celebration that is everything that they've created over the years. And that the power in Aggie and Matt's, like, it's got to be such a difficult thing to let go of the reins completely and allow these delegations that you've kind of hand chosen over the last 6, 12, 18 months to steer the ship and just to relax and enjoy it. So kudos to those guys for being able to do that. And obviously you witnessed that. And it from the snippets that I saw from Aggie and Matt kind of conversing with the crowd or taking photos, it looks like it was nothing but smiles and celebration. So yeah, I'm really glad that you called that out. And yeah, kudos to the guys for allowing themselves to take off those hats and just enjoy.
There was, I don't mean to rehash your conversation with Darkest Night, but I really love the story that he relayed to you guys about Matt coming up to him afterwards because, there wasn't enough time to answer his question. Because to me, it's like, especially if you were just looking at it through pictures and videos, there was this kind of like epic feel to it. But it was also very intimate in many ways, right? That Matt could just like go up to someone and be like, hey, I saw you were in line for a question, right? Like, it's kind of cool that the co-founder of a game like was not just willing to do that, but like had the social awareness to be like, all right, like I didn't answer like these guys' questions, so let me just go make sure that they feel like, they're being taken care, not even taken care of, but it's just like they feel like that this is just a community where, they wanted to ask me something, they didn't get to do it on an official format. But what's important isn't the fact that they got to ask that in front of everything. What's important is that they get an answer to their question. And I'm here, and I feel like it's pretty cool that he like took the time to go and do that.
Yeah, I wonder, like, it just from the outside, and I suppose you're privy definitely to the inside conversations that go on, but like from the outside, the team just feels such a unit, and everyone's just working towards that same goal. So I wonder if that's like why it just they just feel like a really strong team. But I think it also highlights that if just like say one of those people were to leave the team, there would be such a hole to kind of fill,
Yeah.
right? Like if Nate left, it's like, Jesus, like, no, this is what I'm seeing from the outside. And like, if
Yeah.
Weirdbeard left, it's like the things that he has done, for example. Wow.
There would be very big shoes to fill, let's put it that way. And I'll peel back the curtain a little bit, and hopefully this won't get me into any trouble, but it's like, there's no it's interesting you said like it's like a unit, right? Because I would say that there is an appropriate amount of disorganization, right? And what you'd expect as a company gets bigger. There's silos, there's miscommunications. And I'm not trying to say like the team is bad or they're like messing up. I'm saying like this is just what happens with any company that goes from 4 people to 150 people in a matter of like 12, 18 months, however long that took. Right. And so it's not perfect, but it's run like, I think it's run by passionate people, and everybody's just trying to like create something awesome. And I think that's probably the coolest part of it is, I've worked at a bunch of places where people are there for the paycheck or they're checked out. Right. And it's just like, whatever my 9 to 5 is. But I mean, you see some of these guys like on Discord at like 9 p.m. or whatever time it is. And they're just talking because they, it's so cliche when, they talk about like, oh, we want land as much as the fans do. And, I'm not going to get into land because that's such a sore topic, but that sentiment is there across the board, right? Like they want all these cool things within the game because they all play it, right? Or at least for the most part, they play it.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. So speaking about I'm going to take it back a couple of steps here, and Kieran had asked you about what would you be doing without Splinterlands? Well, thankfully we don't have to answer that question just yet. And kind of looking at how you did address that, and looking at your musical career, did you ever expect that Splinterlands would be the coattails to which you would be writing your musical career into the future? I feel like your music has been like, it's got to be like the perfect marriage for you. It's these two things that you love, and they've converged in such a perfect way, and now you're on the inside kind of.
Yeah, man. I mean, you nailed it. You nailed it right on the head. And I think the first time I was on, I talked about like how I even this position even came about, or this opportunity. And that was just through Nate, right? Like offering me 2 options, like, take and license the song as a one-off, the Chaos Is Here, or like come and like write music for the team. And I was just like, wait, you're telling me that I get to do what I love for a game that I like playing? Like that sounds like a really cool thing. And it has not disappointed. It's lived up to its expectations in many ways. So yes, I mean, it's nice to be able to be creative in that sense. It wasn't what I was expecting, because for people who do listen to like the music that I put out, it's very different from like a lot of these lore stories. But in a way, it's been nice to like have this alter ego or character that I can jump into and sing about something or write about something that has nothing to do with like my emotional state, right? And my breakups and my whatever. Like it's something to do with like writing about a fictional place that can be as epic and awesome as like all of the best stories that we've ever heard. And so, yeah, being able to dive into that has been amazing, actually.
So give us real quickly, Aftersound, a little bit of a sneak peek at your statistics. Is the Splinterlands soundtrack, is that the number 1 streamed content in the Aftersound discography yet?
Not yet, but hopefully we'll get there one day. Thankfully I'm proud to say that at least I put some effort into my own music. So there's a good fan base there, and I think what'll be fun is to finally get them into this music, because I've been talking about it for a while, but there's never been anything officially released. But
get them into this music. Are you being intentionally ambiguous there?
No. So to get my existing musical audience into the Splinterlands music, right, is a backdoor way for them to be like, oh, okay, this is cool music. This looks like a cool game. Oh, it's crypto related. Oh, now I'm aping into it with all of my life savings. Now, that last part, maybe they can slow down a little bit on, but
you better write a song about your referral code, bro.
Oh, that's a good idea right there. All right.
Let me a little jingle, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to kind of, I know Splinterfest is finished for a week or so, but like we saw so many clippets from Walking Keys and through the various channels. But one thing I didn't see was that any of your performances. Like, how did they go? Like, because you had it's like 6 performances, was it?
I did I did like 5 or 6 songs.
Yeah.
And they were short, like they were the lore songs. So it was like they're like a minute long, but I try to get on stage as a character, as the bard of
Oh,
Splinterlands.
okay.
And it wasn't, the way that I said it, or the way that I was approaching it, is like I wasn't singing songs, I was telling stories, right? So these are my travels through Pretoria and the things that I've seen, and trying to write and express the stories themselves through the eyes of like whatever this character would be. So I think Walking Keys caught some of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it might exist out there somewhere. I will say, and I know I'm just like hedging my bets and putting a disclaimer out there, but there were some technical issues. The HyperX team was awesome, but there were definitely some technical issues. So I'll just put that out there, as hopefully next time I'll be able to do better if there's a next time.
Sounds like
was-
there's going to be multiple next times.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I'm excited about any potential thing that they do in other parts of the world, because I think for them it was cool to see what just what people were willing to do, travel, be there in Las Vegas. And it's like what, 350 people with all the employees that came in too. So for them to be able to see that, I think was cool. But I think if they were to travel literally to the other side of the world, and you mentioned the Philippines, and I don't know if the Philippines is something, if it was in the Philippines, if you guys would be able to make that. Yeah, you would. Okay, so like, I mean, Aggie keeps talking about the Philippines, so it seems like that's what they're going to go with. But it's like, if they were able to go and like, there's something, and we don't need to dive too deep into this, but there's something that I truly appreciate about the crypto community, and that is how international it is. Like we live in such a time, and I don't know how much you guys feel it not being in the States, but it's like, not to get political, but things are just extreme, both on the right and the left. And it's like this very like identity politics. And I think what's beautiful about crypto is like, nobody really cares like where you're from. A lot of it ends up being like, what value can you provide to the network, right? And so when Splinterlands, like, doesn't matter who or what the content creators are, it doesn't matter who or what the investors are. It's just like, oh, if you're coming in and you can like bring value to this ecosystem, either financially, either entertainment wise, through content, whatever it is, like, it doesn't matter who you are. It's just like you're part of this family, right? And you're adding value. And I think that's something that's really cool. And I hope that if they are able to do an event in other parts of the world, seeing that in the physical realm would be awesome too, right? Like, just go to a place where everybody, is from completely different from what you'd expect in the US. And it's just like, I don't know, it's exciting to me. So I do hope that they have something in the Philippines, and that you guys are able to attend. And I don't know, if I'm able to make it, why not, right?
Yeah. You've got connections with the Philippines as well, right?
Yeah, my mom's from the Philippines, so I know that I know that if they ever have an event there, I'll probably reach out to some family that I have, and I don't know, maybe try to make a trip out of it. I have a feeling though, because now like, it's funny, my parents are like getting more interested in what I'm doing now with Splinterlands, just because they saw like the pictures and stuff from Vegas. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm like, oh, mom, I'm going to the Philippines. She'd be like, yeah, I'm going to tag along and go visit like my nieces and nephews, right? So it could become like a family trip or something.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, it's just going to be really interesting how the team would go about organizing such an event in another country, right? Because, in America, I think the main base of the team's in America. So it's going to be intriguing to see how that would materialize.
I think they're probably going to need somebody on the ground to take the lead. And I'm saying this from complete ignorance, right? But you're raising your hand there.
Yeah, I'm here.
but here's what I think is really cool, is the fact that like so much of what happens in the community is community driven, right? And so I can't make any promises or speak on behalf of Chatter, but it's like, if you guys wanted to try to do some event or be like the point people, and I'm sure they would have to do some kind of vetting where they at least talk to you, right? And make sure like, who they're working with. But I feel like that's actually a legitimate thing. And I was talking about doing that with just local meetups here. So I'm back and forth between the Midwest and Texas. And while I was there, I talked to Chad and I was just like, Splinterfest, I think, is going to inspire a lot of people to do more local meetups. And it's like, would the team or the company be interested in like sponsoring, or if I was the one to like organize a tournament, like would the team provide some prizes or packs or something? And he's like, yeah, just like, let me know. And so it's like, again, it sounds non-committal, but at the same time, I don't think that there's a lot of other companies that are doing stuff like that right now.
That'd be brilliant, man. We've got to drop a little bit of a nugget for a future guest to come. We just have gone back and forth with Cryptomancer, who is just across the pond in Japan, and he's just gotten settled back in. So we've got him on in a couple of weeks, and I kind of casually mentioned to him, I sent over some artwork that I had mocked up for the episode, and he, made some comments about the artwork, and then we kind of, took a little bit of a tangent and mentioned about the big turnout from the big Japanese guys in the in Splinterfest, and how cool it would be to have, next trip to Japan be tied around some sort of Splinterlands tournament. So it's fantastic to hear that Chatter is at the very least on face value entertaining the idea of, helping to somewhat sponsor some of this stuff and just get, hype up that presence. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hopefully we can grease some palms with Cryptomancer and get a little cool, Splinterfest.
I mean, you saw how serious those players from Japan were, right? I mean, they were placing high in the tournaments, so I have to imagine that there's probably a pretty good player base that's in Japan. And if you have a team member who is as high up as Cryptomancer, you might even be able to swing like trying to get something official happening in Japan, and maybe steal it from the Philippines if you try hard enough.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, so you were there at Splinterfest, and you were commentating on the big contest, the big tournaments. Like, did you see, from what you saw, did you see like enough to make you think, wow, this could really take off?
Yes, 100%. So, let's be real. The way that things played out, technical difficulties, a lot of just new first time, issues. It was my first time, Luthien and Bulldogs, doing any kind of commentating. But let me put it this way. I can envision it being amazing when it's done perfectly. And of course, nothing will ever be perfect, but I've been talking about this for a while where like, I rage when I play this game, and, that's a good thing and a bad thing. But the good thing is that like, it shows that there's a passion for it. It shows that it can be fun. It shows that like when there's a miss in the RNG that you're expecting to hit, like you get so frustrated, right? Like, and it shows, it's just, I mean, I'm cursing out Dr. Blight constantly because that dude cannot stick an affliction when I need it. But I think what it showed is that there's, there were highlights and like moments of potential that happened. And a lot of it is just figuring out the best way to present it. And I think that it was a fantastic first step, but it was very, again, to pull back the curtain, it was very rudimentary, right? Like you had people in the back, the producers of the show, shout out to Tyler, shout out to Weirdbeard. Like Weirdbeard had this vision for it. And unfortunately, we cannot legally clone that man, right? Because he had to be both on stage, and I felt like it would have been great to have him in the back as well, because he had this idea of how he wanted to go about it. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the other people who were in the back producing, but it's like there was the first time bumps and hiccups, and it's just like you get to see like how like I said, rudimentary some of the things were. And again, it's a learning experience, but I can envision a time when more resources are given where it's just like, okay, now we don't have like one person running back and forth between rooms. Now we don't have like one person doing this. You have like a whole team that has everything ready to go. And it's just like the person who's talking to me or Luthien or Bulldog in your ear is giving you the right information or stuff like that. Right. And again, I'm not trying to call anybody out or whatever the case is. It's just, it was fun. I think it has an incredible amount of potential. And, I really hope that they try to build and expand upon it.
Yeah, I think with someone like Weirdbeard behind it as well, like he even mentioned in the town hall yesterday that perfection is just that's just the way like his mind is thinking. And he actually said he wants to compete with like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering as well. So when he's saying stuff like that, like you mentioned before, there were a few technical difficulties, but I can pretty much guarantee that those problems won't happen again.
Oh, I mean, they will, but it's all gonna be part of like the, the learning experience, right? To me, it's like there was just so much there that it's like, oh, like this is awesome, but it could be so much better if you do X, Y, and Z, right? And so I think Weirdbeard did a fantastic job putting the game on such a high stage, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but all the projects that I was following from a year ago, none of them are putting on events like what we did for Splinterfest. And I still look at Splinterfest as like almost like a proof of concept, right? You know, you had a couple hundred people there, and you know, there were a lot of hiccups, a lot of whatever, but it was a fantastic experience, hopefully a fantastic experience for mostly everyone there, right? And I think that just goes to show, like, there's if you can do this right now with the team where it's at in a bear market, with the player base where it's at, I don't know, it just makes me excited for like what the game could look like in the future from an esports perspective.
It's also so important to realize, you know, in combination with the things that you just mentioned, in the midst of a pretty significant bear market, on the heels of some very financial heavy opportunities within the game that a lot of those folks that went to Splinterfest more than likely invested into, you know, they still found time and you know, some cash in their piggy banks that they had squirreled away to make Splinterfest happen. And, you know, I think it comes back to what we were talking about, you know, I think time and time again, probably every episode, the community is what comes up. And we've already talked about it, you know, a couple of times here today, but that it was just such a unique opportunity to bring all of those things full circle and really connect the dots on these virtual friendships that have been, you know, kind of gathering steam and moving downhill over the course of the last 6-12 months for most of us, for 48 months for some of the OGs here. Yeah, so you're absolutely right, man. It was such a kind of perfect culmination given everything else that's going on, and yeah, really proud of the way that the team pulled it off. And it sounds like nobody's had any really negative remarks to make about the event from what I've heard.
Well, that's good. I mean, like I said, it was such a chill vibe. So hopefully, you know, I know that there were some issues with like tournaments and a lot of people didn't feel great about that, but ultimately it's like, I think most people were understanding of, you know, this being the first time that a lot of this was going down. And so, you know, hopefully it'll be even better in the future.
What were your standout memories of Splinterfest?
Ooh, standout memories of Splinterfest. So
Pancakes.
What's that? Pancakes? Well, I thought you were talking about official Splinterfest, but yes, the pancakes were pretty cool. I really just appreciated, again, like I'm going to go back to like the intimate kind of vibe that was there. And this wasn't like any specific time, but it's like at any moment you could go up to like literally anybody from the game. And I did that, right? Because like, sure, I'm technically part of the team, but like I was fanboying next to Cryptomancer, like waiting to talk to him, right? And dude was like trying to have like dinner with his family, and I don't want to like interrupt, but I'm just like, dude, I'm such a big fan. Like, I love what you've done, right? And so like, but there were those moments because he's just having dinner right there. He's just like eating food. We're both listening to the panel or watching the tournament, and you know, it's like moments like that where that just the IRL, right? In real life, in physical, whatever is. It really hits home. And I don't know, maybe that's just me kind of finally getting over the pandemic and, you know, being socially distant from everyone. But now it's like, okay, well, a lot of the people that I've been connected with over the past, however, you know, many months, I'm able to see them in the same room, able to ask them questions, literally able to nerd out about games or about the game.
It feels that the Splinterfest just has made the community, what the particular people that were there, just as like a strong, like stronger, and that can only benefit the game for the future, right?
Yeah, well, as Virus said, he's like, what's great? There's no weirdos here. And I don't know, maybe the weirdos were like, doing their best to not be weirdos, but it was you met real people, and I think that's what was important, because before this, everybody was just an IGN or a username on YouTube or Discord or something, and so you got to see people just as themselves, and I thought that was a really cool element of it.
So kind of zooming out and looking purely as a fan, what of the alpha, of the news, of the tech developments that are in the pipeline, what are you most excited about?
Ooh, there's a lot. Can I say one more thing about Splinterfest? Because I think it might be interesting for you and your audience. I'm gonna give a hot take right now, and I'm gonna say that I think the benefit of Splinterfest, like the true full benefit of Splinterfest, has not even been felt yet. And what I mean by that is, this experience is going to be whatever. I think it just ended up being a fun weekend for folks. But the way I think about how the clips of the perfect moments, right? So seeing like an audience full of people at, in HyperX Arena, seeing the founders on stage, seeing the or clips of like the really cool moments, like the highlights from the esports tournament, right? Similar, like you'd see highlights from any kind of sports competition. The way that the team is going to be able to clip that up, and in 1 year or 2 years or 2.5 years, whenever the bull run is back on, when they'll be able to clip that up and run those social media ads to people who are looking for new games, and all those people who are looking at something between like a Crypto Blades of 2021 versus a Splinterlands of 2021, they're going to be like, wait, I don't know, this game, it's got whatever kind of founders and whatever community, but here's Splinterlands that's been around for X amount of years. And here's like video footage of like people who actually play the game, went to Vegas and did all that. I think like that alone is going to do so much for the marketing when we get there. It's not going to do it now because nobody's looking for this stuff. So people always get on marketing's case or Chatter's case because they're like, why aren't we running more ads? But it's just like, whenever I see an ad, I always like close out of it or skip it. So, when those ads start working again is when people are actually looking for this stuff, which will be whenever the next bull run is. And I think just having that footage alone that you can clip and produce and make look really shiny and pretty is going to be the difference between this brand new project that people are talking about that doesn't have like doxed founders or anything versus a game that's been established, that has in-person events and has been around for a while and all these like partnerships. So that's just my little spiel that I wanted to say on here.
Yeah, I love it. I wonder if a good kind of litmus test for how Splinterlands is trending is, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but Splinterlands Splinterfest did get trending on Twitter throughout the weekend of Splinterfest, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well,
yeah. Sorry, I think it's just like building the sorry, go Ben.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Gold Matters is going to be a good account to kind of serve as the litmus test. That guy is consistently churning out very creatively put together kind of snippets, compilations of other people's footage that he's tacked together. And when his account starts going, that's when Chatter should start pushing for some more marketing funding.
Yeah, I mean, Gold Matters, hands down, there's no competition. He's one of the most creative, if not the most creative content creator that we have. Because he's doing all the stuff that like made TikTok popular, and trading card game, crypto isn't necessarily gonna like do it for you on TikTok unless you're talking about the top projects or how people will get rich by trading Dogecoin. So the fact that he's like able to bring all of that to the Splinterlands ecosystem, I feel like is awesome. And yeah, so shout out to Gold Matters. I'm just sad he wasn't able to make it, but hopefully if they do a future event, I'll be able to see him and tell him in person.
Yeah, I think like this is, we mentioned this with Aggie as well. It just feels like the foundations, this really good foundations being laid, and possibly in preparation for that big bull run that will be coming. But I think lots of people they will just be unhappy with what is happening with the game or what's happening with their assets. But I think possibly it's just the fact that they haven't experienced something like this before, and they're just expecting this big climb, which is going to be a while, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bullish on the general economy overall, so I'm of the mindset, just for my own like peace of mind, that like I don't expect anything to like really pop off until the next Bitcoin halving, which would be mid 2024, and then like the like 6 to 12 months following that. So in the meantime, I think this is, I've said this before, but like this is the most fun I've ever had in a bear market, right? Like playing games, making content, connecting with people. And I, to your point, I think Splinterlands has done a fantastic job of like finding new paths and arenas and areas in which they can expand their footprint. And so to take it back to Ben's question a while back, like what am I looking forward to the most? Um, I think it's really a lot of the new projects that they have coming in. I think that Chaos Legion is going to be on the shelves for a while. I'm hoping that maybe we get some kind of surprise, but I'm also okay with totally taking some time to level up my cards. But if you're seeing what they're doing with GLG, which is the soccer game that they have, or the football game, and what they're doing with tower defense, it seems as though they're taking the opportunity to start from scratch or start from the ground up and build something from the ground up with ideas that I think they eventually want to take back into the actual Splinterlands game. It's just when they talk about like trying to repair a plane while flying it, that's exactly what Splinterlands is. There's like a gigantic code base. They're doing all this tech modernization, which still flies over my head, but I know that there's a lot that goes into it. But it's like if they can get certain elements, like for example, with tower defense, if they do like card-based ECR, or with tower defense and GLS, they're doing like this kind of time restricted packs, right? So I guess it's essentially like pre-burning packs, because it's like, okay, if we don't sell out by X date, the remainder of the packs will be burned. I think those are things that they're going to test out with these new projects, and then potentially bring back in for Rebellion or onwards. And then, within the Splinterlands game itself, you have land, which I'm going to join the when land crowd, because I personally just don't think that that's coming anytime soon. And I know that's not going to be a popular take, but it just feels like it's gotten delayed so much, and there seems to be a lot of work that still needs to happen with it. But on the whole, it's like when land does come, I think it will be awesome.
Yeah, with all these projects, I remember listening to a stream of yours a while back, and we discussed this with Darkest Night as well. Like you kind of like predicted that Splinterlands will be the smallest project that Splinterlands will be involved in, and that kind of like when you said that, it's like, whoa, it just like really blew my mind, because I'm just in this Splinterlands bubble, and I hear about all these projects, and I do agree, like with the Major League Soccer. Yes, I did say soccer, not football. And I definitely can see where that could go. But yeah, when you mentioned that, I was like, whoa, it kind of like made me just like step back out of this bubble and look at things differently.
Yeah, no, and I think I remember you bring that up with Darkest Night too. It's Splinterlands is like a trading card game that is so niche, right? And while soccer / football has, at least in the US, it's not as big, but worldwide there's a huge fan base for it. But when you think about GLS, so Genesis League Sports, as a platform, it's like, man, if they can onboard even just like one or two other major sports or leagues or something in the next 12 to 18 months, or whenever, before the next bull run happens, that has the potential to be, I don't know, something absolutely crazy, right? Like, so I'm very bullish on GLX. Again, none of this financial advice, but it's like, or GLS, sorry. Because I think that sports is somewhat universal, and there's a much wider audience for it. And then when it comes to tower defense, I just feel like whether it's tower defense or any other kind of like arcade style games that they bring in, those are going to be much easier to play, in my opinion, and may even end up being more popular in many ways. One of the things that I'm most excited about with the tower defense is what Hardpoint keeps talking about, where it's like this. I call it deal or no deal. I forgot what he ends up calling it, but it's like, when you finish a level, it's like you can either take your money home or risk it all and try to get more. And I just think that could be so entertaining to watch. You think about the audience for something like Deal or No Deal or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but now you get to do it almost like at an intimate level where you can communicate with the people who are playing the game. And there's going to be all these like side bets made, like, not that I'm going to necessarily do this, but I think it's a great idea where it's just like, all right, guys, I'm going to go for this. And like, I'm going to make you bet on whether or not I'm going to like achieve it to hedge my bets. Right. Like if I get it, then I double up. If I don't, then we all lose out or whatever the case is. Right. So bet for me, bet against me. And I think you're going to get some fun personalities that end up coming out through that, which again could make that element of the game really big. And my thing is, if they keep going down the road of arcade stuff, like I just hope that Hardpoint or whoever can create the Angry Birds or the Candy Crush of Splinterlands, like the stuff that's going to get my mom, right? My mom to play the game where it's like frictionless crypto and she just goes in and plays because it's a fun game. And now she's making some money for like coffee every day. Like that's how you're going to get the masses in. So when I think about that, I'm just like, okay, well, if that's the direction that they're going, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for them there. And that would make Splinterlands, the trading card game, really small. But I think small only in a relative sense, because I think that the game itself will grow dramatically in and of itself. But like trading card games are just always going to be niche.
Yeah, looking at GLS and tower defense, and maybe I am misremembering what I had heard, but I think it was Hardpoint kind of discussing the primary platform for these games and how they're meant to be played is predominantly through mobile. Is that right? Do you guys recall that?
Yeah. So that is the goal, I believe. I'm not sure for GLS, but definitely for tower defense. I know he's mentioned this several times, and I'm trying to make sure, because I know he mentioned it at Splinterfest and on other places in like a public forum, but even internally, he's also talked about how like on day one they want this to be optimized for mobile. So it's still going to be browser based, just because you don't want to deal with the app stores or the Google Play Store and the 30% transaction fees that they're going to have. But if they can create something where it's like, okay, well, you just open up your browser, whatever that ends up being, and you can play a game that has a fantastic mobile experience, then, I think that will circumvent a lot and allow them the flexibility to not have to deal with, to deal with like the gatekeepers for Web 2.
And that lends itself tremendously to, that volatility that you were speaking about moments ago, where if it can go from Splinterlands to Candy Crush levels of market adoption, then I have to think that a mobile friendly platform is kind of the springboard to take us there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, everybody who's complaining about mobile, I'm with you. Right? Like you get a lot of people who are really salty about mobile, and I'm just like, I totally get what you're saying. I agree with you 100%. I have no idea why this isn't a bigger focus for the team, but I think that if they could, they would be, right? So when it comes to the newer games, and like I said, where they have the opportunity to build from the ground up, it seems as though they're going to try and take advantage of that and have stuff that is mobile ready.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, the tower defense is like a little bit of a playground for them just to experiment, right? So, but yeah, I think definitely with ease of play, like with the GLS, like me personally, I know my soccer, and I don't
You can say football.
necessarily.
It's okay.
Is that okay?
Now I'm getting conscious about.
No, I'm joking.
I was going to say, Kieran's going to get a call from his mom after this podcast.
I know, right? Say football, man. Don't get in trouble.
Passport
I was going to say
revoked.
on your streams, you're very conscious of the audience, but I'm, for me, whatever, just like I think everyone knows when I say soccer, and I think our audience is very
Fair enough.
US based. Sorry for you English guys back out there, but I think just for me personally, just to get into that game, football game,
Mhm.
it just seems a lot easier because I would know those players and like I know the game, so I think I definitely see the appeal for that and how a big majority of people will be looking at that game and like they're already kind of in there, right? Because
Mhm.
they know football, they know how it works, they know the mechanics, and they just wouldn't feel that barrier. But when you enter a game such as Splinterlands, there's so many different rule sets, there's abilities, there's all this, there's all the splinters. So I can definitely see new players, if they had the choice, I think something like the soccer would be something that they would veer towards.
Yeah, I mean the best part about anything sports related, and obviously we'll focus on the MLSPA thing first, is the cards are based on real people. And at the end of the day, I think there's nothing that beats word of mouth marketing, which is why I'm so big on like in-person events, because I think that during the depths of the bear market, I think can actually sway a lot of people to see that this is a legit crypto game that they can get into. But going back to the MLS stuff or MLSPA, I don't know how many players are in the league, right? But I have to imagine that there's at least a percentage of them, a non-zero percentage of them that are following crypto or interested in crypto. And even just the vanity of like there being a game out there that has a card based on you, they may check it out, right?
Mm.
And they might be the ones that are, again, this isn't even paid promotion, but just imagine like you're the third string dude on like whatever team and they make a card for you, right? And so since you don't get to play any of the games on on the bus or whatever, you're always just the bench warmer. You're like, hey, let me check out this new crypto game that they got going on. It's like then they go through, they start playing the game, they start telling their friends about it. They're like, hey, check me out, I'm on this game, right? And all of a sudden, like that happens in enough areas, and it spreads enough where it's just like, oh, my brother's like in the league and plays this game, or like my brother's friend knows this person and like check out this crypto game. Crypto's here to stay. So I get excited about that kind of like grassroots word of mouth marketing, let alone the fact that like they're probably going to have some kind of partnerships with MLSPA players where it's like these guys will run Instagram ads or they'll run whatever and be like, check this out. And your diehard fans that spend hundreds or thousands of dollars a year on jerseys and tickets and things will be like, oh yeah, let me go buy a couple packs of this thing. Well, let me buy some GLX tokens so that I can play. So there's going to be some crossover there, and crypto seems to be penetrating quite a bit. So
Yeah, well, I think even though it is American soccer, and people for poo-poo American soccer, maybe it's not as big as the English or the Italian or the Spanish, but there's still that international element. Like you've got David Beckham, he's in charge of Miami, who and people still follow David Beckham back in England. He's got, I'm sure globally as well. You've got Wayne Rooney. He's manager of Chicago Fire. Is that
is he
right?
really? That's crazy.
I think
I'll have
he's
to
From
check that.
Chicago. I feel like
DC,
I
isn't
should
he?
know that. Oh, is
Oh, is
it
it DC?
DC?
Oh, sorry,
I think
DC
so.
United.
Yeah.
Sorry, DC United. So if you have, and I'm not too sure about the other countries, their managers, but definitely it's still far reaching. So
Mhm.
there's definitely going to be interest from England. And I even saw like on Twitter this morning, like this Liverpool fan getting all excited about the pre-sale. So it bodes well for the future, I think.
Yeah, and if they can expand to other leagues, right? Like I'm obviously, what would it be like? I think at the top of that food chain is going to be the English Premier League, right? So
Yeah.
maybe they don't go for that right away, but I'm excited even about like the World Cup in many ways. And I know there's no official partnership, or at least nothing that's been announced, but it's like I at least up until this point didn't watch any MLS, right? I'm planning to tune in for the playoffs now. I hope they haven't, I don't know if they've started yet, but I want to get to learn who some of the better players are in the game. But even though I don't watch any soccer or football, I watch the World Cup religiously, right? Like I gotta watch like every game, and it's just I get super into it. And so maybe not for the rest of the world, but for people here in the US, it's like, okay, well, if some of the, I mean, all of these players on, actually, I don't know if it's all of them, but I'm sure some of the players on the US national team are probably also MLS players. And so there's going to be a game designed around their likeness. And if you have this kind of fever reaching high levels for World Cup and for soccer here in the US, again, I'm not saying that this is a catalyst that's going to make the game explode, but you could get quite a few more eyeballs on it than if there was no World Cup this year. And, you know, a lot of it is the long game, right? Like we're not going to get 100,000 people into the game overnight, but what you might get is your early adopters who, you know, 10, 15, 20, 100 people that explore the game now and then become the Bulldogs and the Dwaynes creating content when the next bull run comes around, right? Because the game changed their life. And now all of a sudden they're creating content or telling people about this game that they own assets in that has, you know, completely ballooned in value. So again, I know it's a lot of conjecture, a lot of, you know, just whatever are hypothetical, but that's really just how I view most of this working out on like a 2 to 5 year timeline.
Well, I think it's so important to remember that, you know, and thinking back to the original town hall where Hardpoint kind of dropped the news that this was the big partnership that was coming out, and GLS was the product of this partnership, and or GLG, I should say, and that GLS was kind of the mothership of games to come. A lot of people were disappointed because it was soccer, like, oh, soccer. But it's so important to remember that it's, I guess, the fourth biggest followed in the States, which is still a massive followership. The representation in the MLS, I just pulled it up. I don't know if you guys saw that, but 82 countries, 6 continents, 400 something players. Like eyeballs are going to be coming in from all over the world. Crypto is you know, it's easier to get around crypto loopholes and stuff outside of the US, which makes it more accessible. And how cool would it be for, you know, I don't know, somebody from the continent of Africa or South America, their favorite player from their hometown is in the MLS. That's their big break. Yeah. All of a sudden, you know, it's just going to spread like wildfire, and making it so accessible through potentially this mobile app. And then all the while, you just mentioned the World Cup. We've got GLS or GLG, I should say, pre-sale happening a few short weeks before this year's World Cup kicks off. And then looking 4 years down the road, World Cup is coming home. It's going to be in the States. And that,
you mean coming home as in England, right? The birthplace of football. You mean that one?
the birthplace of soccer. It is called soccer.
When is the last time that it was in England, or has it ever been in England?
66 was the last time, and that's when we won it.
I feel like they're due then at some point soon, right?
Yeah, you guys had it in 1994,
maybe. Something like that. Yeah,
that was a great World Cup, by the way.
Is that Brazil?
France? I don't know, but I just remember it because I remember like Maradona just like running. You know, he was high on life or something like that, and running towards the camera.
We'll call it life.
Yeah, that's what they call it in Argentina. Yeah, man. But looking at like the longer timeline and reflecting back on the last 4 years of Splinterlands, that was the timeline that Dwayne has seen his success with Splinterlands with. And now is like the prime time to be getting into GLS, moving forward on that next 4 year timeline just before the next World Cup. If just the implication, and you're absolutely right. It is pure speculation, but it's really difficult to not feel excited about the implications of what this game could mean for the Splinterlands arcade and the company as a whole.
Yeah, and let's actually be bearish for a second on MLS. Let's say soccer / football isn't as big, right? But just due to the fact that they have the MLS partnership, what if the next one that they book is the NFL, right? Like that has some diehard fans. I mean, specifically around the US, but I can imagine trying to get a lot of my friends who I play fantasy football with, or whatever the case is, into that kind of game. So whatever it could potentially lead into, I think also has some high upside. But again, it could take 3-4 years, however long, and in that time, it'll be good to just keep focusing on getting on acquiring assets, building out your team.
What would you do if they do come out with an NFL one, man? Because you're a big NFL guy, right? You'd have split loyalties.
I'm gonna sell all of my Splinterlands assets and buy into that one. Screw this game. I'm moving all into the NFL one. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I mean, it'd be exciting. And I think that I would probably be singing its praises among my network a lot more than something like Splinterlands, because there's a lot of people I know who are into sports but aren't into like trading card games or never played Magic the Gathering. And so if I bring this up, even if they are interested, their eyes will eventually glaze over because it's not something that they enjoy. But if it's NFL related, I'll be like, oh yeah, I just got this new like QB card, the rookie, sensation out of Chicago. And so like, yeah, check it out. And they might be like, oh, well, let me see what this is about. And ultimately it still comes down to having a fantastic game, right? So if we're going back to the GLG, it needs to be a good game. And I have a lot of maybe blind confidence in the team that they'll be able to deliver that experience based on the fact that they were able to do it so effectively with Splinterlands. But if they can do that, then it may not even matter what the sport is, right? Like people can just be kind of tangentially interested in soccer, right? They don't have to follow the thing, but it's like how many people play FIFA but don't follow any of the actual sport, but they just like the game of FIFA, right? Because they like playing soccer physically and then they like playing it virtually. And so now you get part of that audience that's, crypto savvy, that enjoys soccer and setting up formations and all this stuff. And you get them into something like GLG, and all of a sudden, there's a built-in player base that has nothing to do with Splinterlands right there.
Yeah, this kind of just goes back as well to like we're talking about NFL, and like immediately when you think of NFL, like you could probably name so many players, and that is just going to have such far-reaching implications, because if they would announce something like that, the amount of people that would just immediately know all those players, bump, and you just got such a great market share there.
Yeah, there's a couple of folks who are interested in following MLS, right? And to see their enthusiasm is exciting. But I agree with you. It's just like if it's a sport that I follow closely, which would be NFL or even the NBA to a certain extent, even though I've fallen off, like that would just be cool from like, oh, here's like something that I'm like probably too significantly invested in, and now they're like partnering up with the NBA. This is kind of cool, right? So I'm excited for where it can go.
I feel like it's an interesting time to be offering these sports virtual. I don't know if it is a card based game. I wouldn't call it a trading card game in the same way that Splinterlands is, and I don't think that I've seen necessarily any of the gameplay mechanics, if it's going to be more kind of managerial focused or if it's like actual gameplay. I don't know what the mechanic is going to look like, but back in the real world, I feel like I've seen quite a bit of traditional sports cards. I remember when I was a kid, I grew up a Mariners fan, and my prized possession, I still have it to this day, like locked behind safe and key, is a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. And it's it probably peaked at like $100 value, but when I was 7, 8 years old, that was like the holy grail for me. And I think it's the trading cards, sports cards have seen a little bit of a resurgence. So it's an interesting time to kind of be bringing these things back into the real world with that NFT perspective, and that you can see utility through this gameplay.
I think you kind of nailed probably the most important thing, or at least the thing I'm excited about, is the utility, right? What's the big thing with Rooney? And it's you're trying to reach out to these ETH whales by giving them an opportunity to get a profile pic style NFT that you can actually play in a game. And so, there's a lot of hype and bullish kind of sentiment around that right now. Obviously, we'll see how that actually plays out in a couple of weeks. But imagine people on the other side of that spectrum where it's like they love collecting trading cards, but you just kind of have them there and they don't do much. And so if you can get people to turn that corner where it's just like, oh, well, here's like a 2022 or 2023 like card for this player, right? That they only minted X amount of, right? So it has that same kind of scarcity. Oh, but you could also play it in a game where you can like earn stuff with it, right? Like you can earn a little crypto on the side and you can enjoy playing a game while you're, while you own it as an asset. I think you're going to get a lot of people who, in the same way that you had ex Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone players kind of make that jump for Splinterlands, you might get that for your trading card enthusiasts as well when it comes to any sports game, but obviously GLG first.
Well, I feel like there's so much unrealized utility to come out of GLS just because it is those real players. It's not like you can, if you get a gold foil Chaos Dragon, it's not like we could set up a meet and greet with a Chaos Dragon at your local bar, right? Whereas if we pull, sorry to shit on your parade there, brother, but imagine pulling a gold foil Wayne Rooney managerial card and, as they're kind of making their way throughout, maybe it's off season. I don't know what it would look like, but if having that gold foil Wayne Rooney managerial card gets you like VIP access or premier access to a meet and greet at the local bar for the DC United fan club. And all of a sudden you're at the front of the line because of this, it just feels like there's so much untapped, very cool potential for what could come out of utility with these cards being tied to real faces, real people.
Dude, that's such a great idea. I mean, I hadn't even thought about that, but if you get some players that actually like buy in heavy into the game and they're just like, hey, if you own like a card of mine, and I don't know how many there'll be in existence, but it's like, maybe it's like if you own a card of mine, like in this game, I'm doing a joint promotion with Splinterlands to have like this party or something and you get in free or this club or whatever. Like you'll get a lot of people who will be like, yeah, I think I want to buy one just because this guy seems like a cool dude, right? Like he seems like a personality that I want to have a card or some kind of representation for. Whereas you can't do that with Grum Flameblade, right? Like the dude has a personality in game, but he's not real, so he can't like put on these promotions. And
you hold that team. Thought. Wait till Splinterfest 2023, bro. Grum will be in the flesh.
We're gonna take AI to the next level, right? We're gonna make all of them.
I'm just speaking about my costume Aftersound, but
yeah. Well, I can't wait to see the cosplay, man. That's gonna be awesome.
Did
many people dress up for Splinterfest?
I didn't see not as many as I was hoping, but you had I'll give a shout out to BB Omega and from the Discord server. I have a photo with him somewhere, but he came in as Ulrich and I think he won. His costume was awesome. And then there was another guy, Captain Dingus, who has the Lamacron tattoos. He came in as Dr. Blight as well. So those two, I mean, they went all out. It felt like Halloween. And I'll give a shout out to them. So a lot of other folks, I would say, didn't necessarily get into the spirit. I feel like it probably could have been communicated a little bit better, but it is what it is.
It was mentioned in the town hall. I remember Hardpoint. Oh, I'm definitely dressing up, man. I love dressing up. So Splinterfest is going to be just like 48-hour just dress-a-thon.
We were joking with Aggie about him taking his infant as either the cursed slime ball or Bagheera, little baby Bagheera.
Well, so we did meet the infant, and he was slightly dressed up as Prince Julian, and it worked perfectly.
Nice.
So he ended up coming in. Cursed slime ball could have been fun. I don't know if the baby would have liked that, but. There's definitely some options. I think people, this is the first time a lot of folks were meeting each other. So I'm sure there was that kind of like hesitancy and, what are people going to think and all that. But now that a lot of folks did get to meet one another and, hopefully this kind of Splinterfest 2022 vibe will permeate throughout, future Splinterfest as well. You might get people who are more comfortable now and be like, I'm going to dress up like a big chicken, or I'm going to dress up like a big, whatever monster or animal, because like, I know most of the people here now, or I know a good amount of people, and, they're not going to judge me, or they're not going to, whatever. We've been through this before, and they're probably going to dress up as something stupider than me. So,
well, I suppose there's like that balance, right? Like you want to meet new people and you want to kind of make connections. But yeah, I suppose making connections if you're dressed up as a furious chicken is going to be a little bit.
Oh, you're the
I
talk of the
mean,
town, man.
yeah,
Curious
you will
Chicken
be
is
the most
the
popular.
OG favorite.
Yeah, I mean, if you can pull it off, I mean, everybody's gonna want a picture with you.
Hey, so
So
Rooney is dropping next week.
Mhm.
How are you feeling about that?
Like I need to figure out where I'm gonna get the funds to buy some Ethereum, and deal with all these gas fees and all the minting fees. But I'm excited for it. I know that they changed some of the dates in the most recent town hall, so they're gonna have like the mint first for the whitelist, and then it'll open up to all the ETH whales at a later point. But I'm excited about it. I still think that I think it just reaches a new audience. But the card is cool. I don't think it's like OP, but I think it's cool. And I am excited to see how, if at all, it like really impacts the meta. I mean, maybe with some summoners. I think it's great with like Yasik or something like that, because you get Pierce and the True Strike. But I like the idea of ETH whales who have no interest in playing the game, but they keep reading about Splinterlands on, Business Insider, and seeing Aggie on the floor of the NASDAQ, and are just like, hey, what's this game that seems to be legit? It just exists on Hive, right? And I don't want to do anything with Hive, because like, it's like a smaller chain, and maybe they're an ETH maxi, but they want exposure. Those are the people that I'm excited about, coming in and buying up the assets, and then potentially figuring out a way to either play the game, or maybe that ends up being a way for them to, I don't know, just talk about it with their other other friends and other people in their network. But I'm excited about it. I hope that it's as successful as the team is wanting it to be. How about you guys though?
Have you got any plans to do any kind of anything with your Rooney, like in terms of merchandise or for the channel?
Yes, I haven't figured out exactly yet. I think the easiest route for me, just because I already have the skill set for it, is probably going to be music related. So, early on when I started doing like content on the channel, and people were like, "Oh, you should like do something music related." A lot of the talk was like, "Oh, you should make like a pokey rap for Splinterlands," and I was just like, "That sounds fun," but like I would never put that out.
What's a poke wrap? That sounds like a yummy food from my favorite Japanese restaurant.
Sorry, but look at that. Siri was listening to me and literally started playing the poke rap. So
Oh, Siri.
Wow.
Wait, you don't know what the poke rap is?
I've never heard of this. No, never.
Wait, what?
No,
Pokemon related?
I'm trying to gauge your facial reaction for the listeners.
Honest to God, hand over my heart. I just told you. I feel like a poke wrap is like I can order that at my Japanese restaurant down the road.
So, did you ever watch the Pokemon cartoons?
I did not.
All right, you're missing out. So at the end of the Pokemon cartoon series, right? So whenever they had the credits, they would do the Poke Rap, and they would literally, yeah, there you go. They would literally just name like all 150, and it's this like cheesy, perfect thing. But as a kid, I feel like I memorized it, and I got to learn all the Pokemon because they would like flash on the screen with their names, and you can see it's like, or we're looking at it, or the lyrics for it, and you can see like all the things there. So as a kid, like this is how they suck you into the IP, the intellectual property,
dude.
Because it's like you just learn all this stuff. So people are like, oh, you should do the same thing with Splinterlands.
Aftersound, how have you not done this already? What is going on, man? You've been holding out on the fan base, dude.
I know they've been requesting it, but see, so getting back to the Rooney thing, I'm just like, well, I'm not going to release this as Aftersound because I'd like for that music to be separated, and I don't think the team wants a Poke Rap. But who can release a Poke Rap or a Splinterlands rap? My Rooney.
The Rooney.
So,
I love it, man.
Yeah, so maybe he'll be my pseudonymous artist that I'll release like fun, cheesy Splinterland stuff through.
Okay, so quick follow-up question. Is the Rooney going to be able to be present in Digicon? Like, is this where we will be able to see Aftersound Rooney perform? Is at Digicon? Can you have like can we all hold up our lighter as Roonies and like
so.
That's so cool,
I think
man.
so. So I don't know what the mechanics of that would be, but I know that they're trying to offer like full commercial rights. So again, these are all like, ideas that I would love to do if I have the time, energy, resources. But like, yeah, music would be fun. I think it'd be fun to do, and I've been thinking more about this lately, just because I watched. I don't know if you guys watched She-Hulk at all
I've been watching
for the
it.
Marvel series. You did?
She-Hulk
Yeah.
now.
So, well, the only reason I bring it up is because I love the way that they broke like the fourth wall, and I'm just like, oh,
It's
well, it'd be
brilliant.
fun to do. Yeah, it'd be fun to do like a comic strip for like a Rooney, where like he lives in the Splinterlands, but then also like breaks the fourth wall. So I'm just giving away my ideas at this point, but it's I that's if somebody else can do it better than me, go for it. But it's like I just want to do fun stuff with it that I don't know. It can be like this character that isn't me, but is obviously I get to influence and put out there. So we'll see. Those are the two ideas that I have right now. But yeah,
Is it going to be easy to animate? Like if you have your Rooney, I suppose you just have to get the people to organize that, right?
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't want to animate it because I think that's going to be too much. But if I can get an artist to draw it, right, and then just like I'm thinking like Calvin and Hobbes type of thing, right, or like Dilbert style comics where it's just like 3 little panels, and then he's just going to have some meta commentary on what's happening in Splinterlands, both in the Splinterlands itself as well as like the game and economy.
What? The flying squid doesn't fly?
Something like that, or he'll be like talking about something like from within the lore, and then like open the newspaper and be like, oh, SPS just hit 4 cents, we're in a down market. It's a little silly things like that where it'll be able to break the fourth wall like Deadpool or She-Hulk or something. So I don't know, we'll see if I can make it happen, but I think that there's going to be a lot of really cool things that folks will be able to do.
I love it. Two quick follow-up questions. Personal preference on Rooney weapon. Do you have a weapon of choice that you're kind of crossing your fingers for?
I mean, I don't know what all the options are, but I mean, if there's a pickle, I'll take it.
The pickle looks cool. The pickle, the fish. Big fan of the fish.
Oh,
I would like some throwing pizza.
Throwing pizza, yes.
Yeah.
And then follow-up question. Did you participate in I believe it was the Rooney ARG a few hours ago?
I did. Did you guys?
I made it to the battlefield round, and then I needed to get out and start my morning before the podcast. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did participate. I think it was fun. And I really hope that they can do more stuff like that, because I just ended up getting in with a larger group and trading ideas. And it doesn't seem like that wasn't allowed because Bulldogs signed off on it. But again, it's just these like, and it's not a little thing because I know there's a lot of energy and effort that went into it, but it's these types of things that I think are really great for community building. So I hope that they can do more stuff like this. And Bulldog even mentioned a great idea where he's just like, creating something that's so hard that it might take like a couple of days or a week or 2 weeks to complete, but the community has to work together. And when they do and unlock it, it'll be something like the reveal of the next summoner or something like that.
Instant next millionth airdrop.
Yeah, I mean that'd be even better.
Cryptomancer slips his finger on the button. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the concept was brilliant. Like the way that they were able to kind of digitally transpire the escape room to a text-based Discord. I thought there were a couple of hints where I thought, chatter, like what happened here? I don't understand how am I supposed to extract this answer from these hints? I don't know.
Yeah, some of them were like too hard, but
yeah. But
and I'm not,
in concept, it was awesome. It was awesome. I was very happy with and surprised with how fun it was, actually.
I enjoyed it, and it got everybody hyped for a random Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning for you. So it's like, hopefully there'll be other opportunities like this in the future. And I really like the idea of it not being something that's like prize based or competitive based within the community. But I think Bulldog had a great idea. It's just like, if we could unlock something right for the community where it's just like Mav chat and Tavern and like all these channels are blowing up because people are just like, hey, we like get your brains thinking about this. We all need to like come together as a community. All 20,000 of us and the 150,000 bots need to come together and figure out how to get this answer so we can unlock the next airdrop or whatever it is.
I love it.
I saw like as well, they've got like another, like Aggie keeps dropping little cryptic clues in town halls, right? But yeah, he he mentioned about, or they mentioned about a partner as well that they've got lined up for the launch as well. But yeah, that's interesting
For the Rooney launch.
for the Rooney launch. Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, I
I mean,
missed that.
he said that, and then Chatter like mentioned it as well, or in I think the official announcements or something. But I have no idea what it is. I hope it's something cool. But I don't know if you saw the last town hall where he was talking about trying to get a lot of these other like PFP projects in, where it's like they could come into the Splinterlands game, and if you own like a card or own excuse me, one of these like PFPs, you can get a card minted in the game, similar to what's happening with Rooney.
yeah, I did.
And
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. That sounds really inflationary for cards, and it sounds like a lot of projects might come in and try to like find a way to exploit that. But at the same time, if that brings in new players, that could be great. And then one of the things that I liked that he said was maybe you require like massive amounts of SPS staking for, you know, a project to be able to come in and do this. And it's like, okay, well, as long as they have to contribute to the ecosystem to benefit from it, that's actually really exciting.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on like this. It kind of feels there's quite a bit of SPS that has been handing out at the moment. Like we just got some for land, we got some for the nightmare cards, and obviously you get through the nodes. Do you feel at the moment, do you think that's too much, or do you think that's all been like valued? Like,
you know, we were going to get it one way or another. So at this point, I'm kind of over the SPS dilution argument. It's just like, yeah, I mean, land, hopefully we were going to get in 6 months. Tower defense, we were going to get in 6 months anyway. So them moving it up at this point in a bear market doesn't really bother me, because I don't see any, I don't see any bullish action for SPS in the near future, unless there's something that's unannounced that will be announced. But it's like people are once again receiving it like candy, and, you know, just for holding assets, which is essentially what the airdrop was. So it's going to go down in value, and we're seeing that now. It's what, less than 6 cents now. So there's nothing to hold it up, and that's probably one of the most disappointing things for me, is the fact that they, you know, a year plus into this token, they keep talking about like driving value to it, and in some ways they have, because of governance now. But in other ways, it's like, you know, there's no other reason to hold the token other than to earn more tokens, right? Or to earn vouchers. But it's not even the best way to get vouchers, because nodes superseded that, which is why I was so upset about nodes initially. And now, I mean, I'm happy with it in terms of like grabbing more for like the GLX airdrop. So maybe there's some utility there. But at this point, like I said, I don't think that even if there is a bull like run or rally or bear market rally that ends up happening between now and the end of the year or early next year, I don't think Splinterlands is really, I mean, hopefully we'll be in a position to participate, but I think the economy is just like too flooded with stuff anyway. So it's not really going to matter. And that's why I'm really trying to take a long-term view of this as like, all right, 2024, 2025, like use this time to buy up this 5 cent, 6 cent SPS, or if you don't have to buy it, then play the game and earn it, or, you know, buy packs for games that you want to have and earn it, or assets that'll help you acquire more. And, you know, we'll see what happens as we get closer to, you know, the launches of these projects, and hopefully whenever the Bitcoin halving happens in 2024.
so do you see the way for SPS to rise in value? Is that just through new players coming into the game?
I mean, not even right now, because like if you're a new player in the game, why would you even need SPS? You don't need it to play, because it's not required for staking. I know they talked about that, but they've also been talking about that for like over a year now, and there's no timeline for it. So, you know, again, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I'm also being a little tongue in cheek here. And it's like, well, it's not really a priority because they haven't put it in yet either. So I don't see it happening anytime soon. Again, I'm trying to acquire as much SPS as I can, primarily because I don't believe in it for the short term, but I believe in it for the long term. So, and I would rather have that, because I believe in the team's ability to launch other games that if they continue to give benefits like the GLX airdrop, then, I think SPS will have some kind of utility in that way. But until they do something like, let me throw this your way. One of the things that hasn't really been talked about is their whole SPS or Splinterlands as a service, right? Like SaaS business that they were talking about in one of their previous town halls, maybe a month or two ago, where Matt was like, okay, if all these companies want to come in and build on Hive, but they don't necessarily want to build under the Splinterlands banner, but they want to retain Splinterlands to do some kind of like services for them, such as setting up like Hive accounts or resource credits delegations. Like that's actually a really big thing. So right now, new players come in, they don't have any resource credits, but the game will delegate those to you, right? And so if another project, let's say, wants to come on and build on Hive, but they don't want to build out the infrastructure for that, they could hire Splinterlands to do it. And one of the things that Matt was talking about was, well, maybe we require companies that want to participate in these services, right? Again, this is B2B, so business to business. Companies that want to participate in these services, we require them to either pay an SPS or we require them to stake SPS. And so those are the market moves that I think are going to be felt right now. Like the entire market was like, oh, we all want Rift Watchers packs, and we pumped from like 5 cents to 9 cents, right? Big whoop. I think it was great. But like, I think when you have these like big companies that are coming in that want to build out, whether it's, next year or 3 years from now, where it's like, hey, we want to hire, or we want to take advantage of like Splinterlands services. And Splinterlands is like, well, all right, if you want this like resource delegation thing, you need to stake 20 million SPS. And these are like big companies coming in. So they're like, oh, okay, yeah, talk to my guy. We'll buy up to 20 million right now. And then that moves the market in a significant way, right? So again,
real quickly to interject there, but on the same vein, do you feel like, are we primed for a big announcement with this quote unquote Rooney partnership dropping next week? Do you think it's going to be something along these lines?
No, I have no idea what the Rooney partnership is. I feel like the partnership is going to be disappointing for many people because I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the game. It might just be a partnership with maybe another like big Ethereum project. That would be my guess, but I'm literally pulling that out of my butt right now because I have no idea. So I don't want to lead anybody down the wrong way. It's just I don't know what partnerships. I don't know what that partnership would consist of, but if it's a launch partnership for Rooney, which is very highly targeted at Ethereum whales, I have to believe that it's got to be something Ethereum related. So I mean, pie in the sky, where again, this has nothing to do with the game, but it's like, well, let's say all of a sudden, like there is a partnership with Cool Cats or Bored Ape, right? Like if all of a sudden, like they're going to get on some platform to talk about it with some top Bored Ape members, that'd be kind of cool because, Bored Ape is such a big part of the culture, but I don't even think it's going to be something like that. It might just be like a mid-tier project that has a decent following, but that's my guess, which is a legitimate complaint from a lot of the players. Cause it's like, well, we want land and we want all the stuff in game, and like all the stuff is being built kind of externally to Splinterlands. So, but if it is, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
No, I'm going to go in with zero expectation and hopefully leave with some pleasant surprise. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I would like to kind of circle back to that you mentioned something about trying to pan for as much SPS in the short term as possible. What is kind of your primary strategy to do that? Are you continuing to push for Diamond Champ? Are you going after more nodes? Is it a little bit outside in between? Are you all of the above? What's your focus, and how and has that changed over the last couple of months?
Yeah, so I'm happy in gold, and then pushing to diamond at some point in the season. I just don't like. I still need to spend like another $3 to $4 grand to max out my Chaos Agent deck, and we're not even talking about Rift Watchers, which I barely have any Rift Watchers cards. That's going to be another $4 grand, right? And so when I look at that, I'm just like, all right, am I really ready to spend like, I don't know, 7 to 8 grand on cards to play at the highest levels? Like that doesn't seem to be the best use of my capital from an investment standpoint. So, I've talked about this before, but it's like, it's difficult, but I've finally found a good place where it's like I'm keeping my investor hat separate from my player hat. And my player hat is going to be happy sitting in gold and spending, a couple bucks a month or whatever it is to buy new cards, or taking my rewards and reinvesting into my deck. But in terms of like acquiring more SPS or acquiring more things, like I have a good amount of nodes, so I'm happy with that. But I've been playing more with the liquidity pools, which, there's risk within that. But it's like I'm just taking stuff. For example, like I have like stuff in the ETH and SPS pool, and to me that's like, okay, well, I take, that thing's paying like 70% right now, and so it's like I took whatever Ethereum I was willing, that I had sitting in my wallet, converted half of that to SPS because I'm bullish on both of them. And now it's like whatever rewards I get, I'm keeping half of that in SPS and then converting the other half of it to Ethereum. So it's almost like staking more Ethereum for me too. And that's just kind of how I'm playing like the investment side. So it's like exposure to several different assets. And then with the card stuff, I know whenever there's more new things coming out, I'm going to end up FOMOing. And like, here's, we were just talking about like the Rooney thing before. And like, here's a situation where it's like, okay, well, I need to figure out where I'm going to get this money to like buy, I'll like mint my Roonies for, $250. So it's like, okay, I'm not even spending that much per month on the game itself as a player. So it's like to do that for like a single card. I'm like, all right, well, I need to go do that. I need to figure out whether or not I got a ticket for, or like a reservation spot for Lux Vega. And it's like, do I really want to be spending a grand on a card? So I may be looking at moving that reservation thing and taking whatever, value I can from that and then turning it to buy more cards. You know what I mean? Because it's like I paid 300 for the reservation. I don't know how much they're going for, but I'm sure I can get at least 300 for it for somebody that really wants the card. So if I can get, I don't know, 350 or even 400, then it's like I take whatever difference that is and put that into actually leveling up other cards within my deck, right? But
Yeah.
these are all decisions that are going to be tough because emotionally it's just like, oh, Darkest Knight has been doing his hardest, his best to FOMO me into Lux Vega and keeping it. But I'm just like, dude, I don't want to pay a grand for a card right now. that seems way out there. But I don't know. It's tough. So like I said, I feel overextended within this game. I feel like there's an uncomfortable amount of value that I have in here from an investment standpoint. But at the same time, there's a lot of other projects that I've researched that I just don't feel as comfortable with. So it's like a weird balancing act of like, well, I do want to own more assets in here because I've seen what can happen to the asset values in bull market conditions. But at the same time, I don't want to, I don't want something to like ruin me. If Splinterlands ever gets hacked, that would suck. And that's actually why I like to play with the off chain or other chain, what's that called? Other chain liquidity pool. So both on BNB and on Ethereum, because it's like if something ever happens in game, like those are on completely separate chains in private wallets. So I don't have to worry about that, losing everything in one go.
Well, on the bright side, and one quick comment before I hand you the mic, Kieran, it would make for a great bard tale Aftersound.
Yeah. I lost everything and it wasn't even to a woman.
Yeah, I think everyone, we mentioned this with Darkest Night as well, like everyone's just on their own journey. But yeah, it's really interesting to see how you are like going about doing yours, because I think it's like one of the reasons why people tune into your channel, because there's definitely no FOMO, or maybe sometimes in certain cards, but you definitely give a nice, like a balanced way of looking at the market, which is definitely what people need, because there's, if you do have the money, you most likely will be leveling up this way and that way, right? If I had the money, I would have definitely have dabbled with the Rift Watcher cards, but yeah, it's just so many things. And I don't know, people have mentioned this before, but at the moment there's like so many things dropping that if you kind of like, I want to do the GLS, but it would only be a little nibble, and would that nibble be worth it? I might as well just keep nibbling away at Splinterlands. So yeah.
No, I mean, I appreciate that. It's I just felt like I was burned during the bull market last year, the bull run. I mean, it's just like literally every influencer, crypto, or on Twitter, on YouTube. It's like I'm still waiting for that 100K Bitcoin that I was promised, right? Face melting Q4 gains, right? That never actually materialized. That's like when I started doing content, I'm like that. I don't want that to be me, and like and here's the truth. It's just like, could I be degen and like ape into all this stuff? Yeah, sure. And actually, that was part of the problem. It's like I was looking at the tower defense packs, and it's like, well, I could like sell out of my, I could sell out of my, what's that called, like my BNB SPS like pool, and put that in, and maybe like ape into tower defense packs. But I like had to sit down with myself in the mirror and be like, that's not the move. Like this
Yeah.
game is unproven, and as much as you like, like as much as you believe in hardpoint and what they're trying to do, it's like, don't buy 500 packs, just buy 25, and when the game comes out, buy whatever cards you need and play the game as like a gamer, right? And so now at this point, like it's gotten much better for me to just be like, okay, you know what, like I am just going to play with whatever cards I have, and I'm going to try to level up over time. And that's kind of why I'm okay with, Chaos Legion taking a little bit longer to sell out, because I don't mind winning more packs and leveling up my deck slowly. And if cards do drop in value over time, then maybe I spend a little Christmas gift on myself and like, maybe get one or two of my summoners max level. We'll see. But, if we have a rally, then it's great. But it's like, I don't plan on selling the cards. And I think that's what scares me. It's, I can sell SPS. If I have a big bag of SPS and SPS hits 50 cents or $1, I know that I'm going to be comfortable taking some off the table and just being like, all right, here's my like emergency rainy day fund. Here's my ice cream fund, just to like actually take something and materialize it. But it's like my cards, it's like, oh, I'm not going to sell my cards, especially if I like put so much time and energy into them. So that's like almost like a financial sunk cost for me, because it's like I love the game and I want to continue playing. So I'd rather find a way for the game to feed itself and not like ape all of like what I had set aside for investment into the cards itself. Now they're making it very difficult, because the rewards that are being paid out in Diamond and Champion are kind of stupid compared to like everything else. So I haven't run those numbers yet, but even still, it's like I don't think that I'd be able to convince myself to like drop whatever I needed to drop in order to get a max level, deck for Diamond.
So
those SPS numbers at the lower leagues, not Diamond Champ, they should see, according to everything that I've heard, a fairly significant increase with this upcoming proposal, right? Does that include gold, or is that specific to bronze, silver?
I think it's actually gold and silver that are going to be impacted the most. And I saw some information secondhand, something like 50% of gold like battles are with underpowered decks, and like something like 80% of silver is underpowered.
Wow.
So that could impact it quite a bit. And yeah, I mean, the thing is like people, I don't know. How do you guys feel about the proposal overall?
Well, I wonder if, so based on those numbers that you just said, I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of trickle down from those folks who are overextending in gold and pushing to diamond for those bigger numbers, but they're more comfortable in gold. If you move up to diamond, you're just getting a hiding the whole time and maybe scrounging together a couple of wins, which possibly could make up for that. But if you're going to see that much more of a significant earning per win in ranked battles at gold, and it pays to stay in gold and win more consistently, that would also equate to bigger payouts in diamond, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think what this is going to do is just make it so that all these accounts that keep leveling up quickly due to the ratings inflation are going to, stay further or lower, I should say, in terms of overall league, which means that the pot ends up being split between less people at Champion, Diamond, Gold, and even Silver to a certain extent. I think there was something like, I think they said 80% of battles in Silver were novice cards. So like, the all level ones.
That's me included. That's my Archmage right there.
Oh, that's your Archmage. Yeah. So, I mean, I had the Archmage running on like the Aftersound YT account for the channel, and that thing didn't have. I mean, that was all like level 1, level 2 summoners, and that thing was pushing into gold. So, is this the best way to attack the whole ratings inflation issue? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know that, but I think at least they're trying to take a stab at it without having to redo the entire game.
I think for me, I think it's a good idea. I think if you were that player or if the majority of people that are playing with lower level cards and pushing into the higher leagues, if that were true, then I think I would be against it. But the fact is, it's not, is it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the game or the competition has gotten much more difficult with these recent changes. And I feel like something like this will only make it more difficult, because I still come across sometimes, I mean, even now I'm playing in Gold 2, Gold 1, I'll come across like a deck that has like a level 1 summoner. And I'm just like, how did you make it here? Right. But there are these teams that are built on like only 1 or 2 or 3 splinters that have like leveled up decks, and then everything else is level 1. And so, sure, that probably won't necessarily be impacted or affected by this proposal, but I do think you'll see a lot less underpowered decks overall.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, sorry, Ben, because this question for you as well. I was going to ask you, with the game getting harder, and it's not just like me and you thinking this is like in Discord, in our guilds, this is just like the general consensus. So, like, I'm just wondering, I've just thought about this morning, like, what do you think the long-term effects could be because of this? Because I felt it in my grinds, my rank battles, and I felt it in tournaments. Like, I was doing pretty well in tournaments, like definitely getting to the second round, but it just feels like even the past week, but maybe, I don't know, it just feels that I don't know if lots of people are feeling this way. Like, what could be the long term? And this is for you and Ben.
Go ahead first, after so.
I mean, I like, I think I went 0-11 in a tournament. I was like, that's my last one. Me too. I was just like, no, like literally, I have not played a tournament since then. I was so upset. And I was just like, all right, well, everybody's coming into tournaments now. Like, probably shouldn't have talked about them so much, but there was an opportunity, right, at a time. And then I was like, okay, well, I talked about it. Now all the actual good players are here. And so it's time for me to exit and not enter one of these and throw my SPS away. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be good for the long-term overall health of the game. Like, again, I am bot neutral, but I don't think with the way that the game economy is set up, it's great for like, I don't know, 60, 70, 80% of the accounts to be bots that are using underpowered cards in the way that they are. And we're leeching rewards from higher levels. I like the fact that they split off the pools, even if I don't necessarily agree with the numbers, right? I think a clean 20% across each league probably would have felt fairer, right? But I like the changes that they're making, because and the fact that they share data with us too, right? All that battle data. I feel like, okay, well, now it's not just they're making arbitrary decisions. They're sharing the data with us. And keep in mind, like, I was here, but like, when did you guys start playing?
August 21.
August 21. Okay, so you were
About
here
9
last
months.
year. About 9 months. Okay, so Ben wasn't here, but you were here, and if you remember the bronze nerfs that happened in like October of last year, where they just said no more DEC in bronze 3, right? Like, you only get credits, or maybe you don't. I think that it was bronze 3 first, and then they put it to the rest of bronze. Like, people are complaining because they're just like, oh, like, all the whales are just going to vote for whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, the whales didn't even get a chance to vote. Like, if you were here a year ago, the team just said, if you're in this league, you're not earning anymore. And now they're putting it out to a vote. And sure, it's always going to be dominated by whales. And a lot of the team has a lot of SPS. But I just like the idea that we're moving towards decentralization. So rather than like being where we were, where it was this authoritarian, Aggie and Matt make all the decisions before. So I think that it is a good move overall. But what are your thoughts, Ben?
Um, yeah. So back to the original question. I have been getting absolutely pummeled across every single game that I've played, whether it's tournament, ranked battle. I've almost thrown I live on the 14th floor here in Taipei. I've gotten very close to opening the window and just saying farewell. uh, that would be a great video. I'd have to have my phone out and send it to Gold Matters and see if we could get that video to go viral. This is my Splinterlands flying down to Taipei. Yeah, I don't know if it feels like it was very gradual, and then all of a sudden, I was holding my own and remaining very competitive. I was getting to diamond consistently, maybe 4-ish days into the new season. This season, we're at maybe 5 days in, and I am still teetering on the cusp between gold 2, gold 1. I'm on this side of gold 1. But I cannot get over the hump. And let's not even talk about my tournament showings. I think I tooted my horn a little prematurely a couple of weeks ago. I managed to win the Chaos Legion Diamonds Cup tournament. I got first place.
Really? Wow!
I got first
congratulations.
Place. Wow,
that is impressive.
That's going to be my only congratulations for the foreseeable future. It looks like.
Are you playing with a diamond level deck, a maxed out deck?
I am. Yeah. Yeah,
oh, you are? Okay. I mean, it's still impressive, but I thought you did it with a gold level deck.
No. So when I went home a couple months ago, Chaos Legion prices were, I think Kelia was consistently under like 275, 280. And it just felt like, I don't know when the bottom is, but it feels like we got to be pretty close.
Yeah.
So I managed to kind of sneak in most of my cards right around those low lows of a couple of months ago and pushed everything up into diamond. But yeah, so I tweeted it out. I was really proud of myself. Yeah, pat on my back. I got first place. And since then, I don't think I've cracked top 100.
Well, like, what do you think? That was only a week ago. You sent me that photo.
It's like it feels like it was a lifetime ago, man. Yeah, it's been rough. I don't know.
The losses feel brutal. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know where to credit the change. I don't think my gameplay has changed. My strategy is still the same. I don't know if I'm overthinking. I don't feel like I was too proud of myself. I tried to take everything with a little bit of humility, and it was more like trying to get a little bit of a few additional eyeballs on the People's Guild Twitter account versus, my personal notoriety. But I feel like the tournaments are a little bit further and fewer between, and until we get a little bit of greater differentiation, the Untamed stuff still dominates. Like I'll run into Yoden and Kitty, and I can scratch out a couple of wins every now and again, but if I'm not going to win the majority of 10 battles against Kitty or Yoden.
I agree.
Yeah. So until we get Rift Watchers and rewards cards and Dr. Blight as a consistent part of the rotation in those tournament rule sets, I think, those newer folks who are playing predominantly Chaos Legion are, kind of up the creek a little bit. But all of that being said, I think looking at the bigger picture, the last couple of months since I pushed most of my cards into diamonds, I sold off all my Untamed stuff and moved all of those resources into leveling up Chaos Legion. It felt like that was the right time, and it's ultimately paid off. I've added probably 40% of my total SPS pool just out of pure winnings in the past 3 months.
That's
and
awesome.
it's yeah, and I'm getting close to being able to buy my way into those bigger tournaments, which if the last 10 days is any indication, maybe I should keep those pennies tucked away under the cushions for a little bit longer.
Maybe the low entry numbers might, do okay for you. Right?
That's also true. Obviously, the higher you get up in the staked SPS requirements, the fewer entrants are going to be there, which means you're more likely to receive a bigger chunk of the payout. But you got to turn up. Like, those guys are not showing up with under level decks. Like, you better expect the who's who of Splinterlands cards.
Speaking of tournaments, though, are you looking forward to that first Ghost card tournament?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That should be a fun one for you. I haven't entered in yet, but I do plan on doing it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I didn't realize until after I had signed up that it was the Ghost Card tournament.
Nice.
I was a little disappointed that there wasn't a big hunk of land waiting for the for the winners, but yeah, I think it's just a cool precedent to have the Ghost Card tournaments available to the greater community, and it goes to show that Weirdbeard's constant harping over the last year is gaining traction and getting eyes, and therefore getting greater funding from the dev team, whether it's financial or time resources to make things happen in the tournament. So, we've talked about this. I think we talked about this first time we had you on Aftersound, and we definitely talked about it with Weirdbeard. Tournaments are really going to be the bread and butter for progressing this game forward and growing the game with new players. And it feels like the wheels are turning.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I think so too. So I've been very bullish on it. I'm just glad to see that we'll have those, and I hope that we get them at good intervals to keep us satiated until Rebellion comes out and Untamed rotates out of modern format.
Oh, that'll be the day. at this rate, have you done the calculations Aftersound? At this rate, at our current day-to-day Chaos Legion pack sales, are we going to be seeing Rebellion in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so slow. So at this point, we're going to end up burning packs because everybody's just going to keep calling for it.
Do you think that's a reality?
No, I don't. I don't. It's just a joke.
Okay. But Aggie did say, right, but I think the way forward is like just to give them out as prizes, find a way to kind of pass them out rather than just burn them. Especially like you're probably like me. I'm still want to level up my cards. I don't want them just to disappear off the market.
Yeah, so I don't think that. I think they put themselves into a corner now where they can't, burn the packs. But I do think that they'll go towards that kind of time restricted, pack sale in the future. And Aggie was very explicit about like doing a 12-month kind of rotation where packs are on sale for 9 months and then there's 3 months of nothing, no packs in the shop or something like that. So ultimately, I before Tower Defense and GLX came out, or GLG came out, I was under the mindset that, oh, well, maybe they might reduce packs or like be much more thoughtful so that they will run out by 9 months. But if they're doing this with the other games on their platforms, then I wouldn't be surprised for Rebellion to have this like, okay, Rebellion's going to be 15 million or 20 million packs, right? But it launches in January and September 30th is the last day you can get packs. And maybe there's like this increasing price as you go along, but you can buy it in DEC and, depending on what the value of DEC is. I still think that there'll probably be a good amount sold, but for Chaos Legion specifically, I think they're just going to have to ride this out. Now they did those whale deals. I was excited when I heard about it. And then I was like, wait, I got to spend 10K minimum. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't even want to bother like setting up a group buy for this because this just sounds like a headache. But, I'm hoping that there might be some other opportunities between now and the end of the year where, especially like with the holidays rolling around, if they do something where, maybe like the only thing that I can think of, and I don't know how difficult this is to code in, but it's like, let's say you buy 100 packs, your usual is 10%, right? Bonus if you use vouchers. Well, maybe they up that to like 15%, right? So it's just like, okay, well, for all the people who are going to buy smaller quantities of packs, maybe they offer these like bonus packs or like increased bonuses for the holidays or whatever coming up. Those are the types of things that I could see where the player base would get involved. Cause it's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to spend 10K on packs for another game and get Chaos Legion or whatever the case is, but I might buy 100 packs, right? Especially if DEC is where it is right now. It's not at PEG. I might go in and buy 100 packs. And if there's a special bonus on it. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to do stuff like that, but I don't know. Q4 seems wide open right now, since the only thing that's like planned is Rooney and then land, right? Everything else is kind of like there, at least within Splinterlands. GLS is doing its own stuff, so maybe they'll have time to implement some cool new features or sales.
Well, I think it's also just to keep the perspective, and I think we mentioned this previously, but even if Chaos Legion goes to 24 months, it's still a massive success. right? You look at Untamed. It was what 1.5 million packs, and it was on the shelves for 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we 10x the total volume of packs, and we're nearing in on what we just 10.2, 10.3 million in
Yeah.
nine full months of regular sale.
Yeah.
Which is a huge success, right? Like I don't think anybody would say it's a failure if Chaos Legion goes to 18 months. Maybe Matt threw the dart and it hit the wrong piece of the board in terms of 15 million. That's probably too big of a number. But even if we get there, 18 months would be next end of June, end of July, which I don't think that's within reason, right? That's still, it's a ways away.
I think possibly when Matt did these numbers, it was at, was it at the peak of it was like, the market was doing very well, right? Like this was like, obviously they planned it well in advance. Like I came in August 21 and it was peaking. It was like everything was going to the moon, right? So, and then there was that.
They announced it mid-September, so it was like right during that whole hype cycle.
Right. So they were imagining, like everyone, like you said, that $100,000 Bitcoin, like Sol was pumping, just everything was going right.
Face melting Bitcoin, bro. Face melting Bitcoin.
And they, with the disparity with the actual people playing the game, that wasn't known as well, right? So in hindsight, yeah, 15 million probably was a good figure.
If you remember, I think it was in October sometime, there was like a big announcement. Aki got super excited because they announced that they had sold their 1 millionth spellbook. And all of us were like, holy crap, there's 1 million players. This is nuts. Only to find out that, a majority of them either fell off or ended up being bots, right? But it's like, yeah, at that time we were all kind of like, oh, like this thing is going to the moon. Oceanus is selling for like $50. Pellicor Bandits were going for like 30 something cents, right? So like cards were just outrageous at that time. So Ben, you really got in at a much better time when the hype died down.
You're welcome, Ben.
Did you get him into it?
I did, yeah. We kind of met. I went to visit him up in Taipei, and we were having a couple of drinks down by the river, and I was just like explaining to this guy
how any good crypto conversation starts, a couple beers down by the river.
But I was actually quite surprised. He was the first person I've actually spoken to where I actually hooked him. I've spoken to, as you can imagine, as you well know, that when you do speak to people about this game, just the old eyes glaze over, and then you just there's okay.
That was just the beer. That was just the beer you saw. Yeah, I think I left. I came home that night with a spellbook purchased on my phone. I think it was probably a couple of weeks between that day and when I first actually started playing, watching videos, and spent my first. I think I threw in maybe $50 to buy some cards, and of course I bought the full gamut of stupid recommendations across all of YouTube and Google. But yeah, I was hooked, man. But I also had the background of I played Magic the Gathering extensively in my youth, so there was the parallel of trading card games, and yeah. Well, exciting times, man. Hopefully, I think my biggest hope for Q4 and something that hasn't really been talked about a whole lot for Q4 and Q1 is I want to see that user experience tightened up. I want to see the folks being able to come in and have fun right out of the gate without getting pummeled by Yodin, without just being blasted into oblivion and throwing their phones out the window saying, "Oh, this game sucks. What a waste of $10."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you didn't think that, did you, when you started it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? Well, yeah, but you stayed, right? You stayed. And like, I spent 2 weeks just, I don't even know what cards I was using. I must have been just using the basic cards, but I don't know. I just kept playing it and playing it. I was just, I don't know. Just I think it probably just attracts the certain individual, right? And they just can't let go.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early on for me, I was renting a lot of cards, and At the time I was just like, oh, and the earnings were so good too, right? So it's like
Mm.
I would like rent a Lamacron and I would just like go ham in bronze and like just start winning all these games. And DEC was so high above its peg that, I mean, you were just winning like literally, I mean, not for me, but people in Diamond were winning like dollars per battle, right? Like I remember seeing like somebody winning like 500 DEC per battle, and DEC was 1.5 pennies. So that's like
Mm.
$7.50 for a single battle they were winning. So yeah, I mean, the game was just like printing money at that time. But I agree with you, Ben. I think there's so much to be desired when it comes to the new player experience. And I can understand why the team hasn't focused on it, because I think they want to tighten up the game economy first before they have people come in. At least mass adoption. And I think from a marketing standpoint as well, you don't want to be trying to get a bunch of people in when like every other week the fundamentals of the game are changing from a reward structure and a play structure. So it just feels like we're in for a little bit longer of a tweaking period. The proposals seem to be dropping left and right. I mean, this one with the card levels came out of nowhere, right? I mean, I don't think they were talking about that at all on any town hall beforehand. And all of a sudden, like this thing drops and somebody sends me a link and I'm like, is this real? I'm like, how come I haven't heard anything about it yet? And so I think that we're in for probably, I don't know, anywhere from like 3 to 6 more months of tweaking before they start to turn on the burners in terms of getting people in. But hopefully by that time, tower defense is out, GLS is out.
Battles 2.0, which looked
Battles
awesome by
2.0.
then.
Yeah. Battles
I
2.0.
think like, sorry, going back to what we were talking about, getting new players in, but like, for example, if you just dropped somebody into gold, that's also like a chastening experience, right? Like if you've never played the game before, but even if you have all the cards, it's like, I don't know. I'm just not too sure how it's going to be interesting to see how they do improve that new player experience. Because I think through the board, it's pretty rough.
I agree. I mean, I think you need to start in bronze. Like you need to spend at least some time down there, season, maybe 2 seasons, because
Earn your stripes.
yeah, well, it's not even about earning stripes, like, but the game gets so complicated at silver, gold, like especially diamond. Like even now, like I'll jump into like a diamond level battle. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that monster had that ability. And I get my ass kicked, right? So it's like, all right, well, I wasn't planning for that because I didn't even know it existed. So I feel like just to understand the basic fundamentals of the game, bronze is good for that. It's just you get roughed up by all those bots playing ideal lineups in bronze. So
Yeah.
that sucks, but I feel like it gives a good understanding of the game. And then if people enjoy the gameplay element, despite losing constantly, but understand that there's like a cool or better like meta at the higher levels, then maybe that's when they start spending more, either renting or buying cards for the higher levels to play at.
Ghost
Yeah, I
tourneys.
feel like the entryway should be more me versus the computer instead of me versus another ranked player. And you're kind of progressing through the tutorial of various rule sets and various mana caps, and hey, you focus on the Earth Splinter here. We're gonna run some magic meta, and then we're gonna move to life, and let's focus on General Wraith. How do you counter magic? And
Yeah.
kind of progress through there, unlocking summoners, unlocking splinters, and then you have the option of maybe it's not a hard fork at the end of that, but from the beginning, I feel like there should be the opportunity to progress through a tutorial where you have a fairly good chance of winning and of guided winning, versus you're just thrown into the gauntlet of Lamacrons and bastard Jotans from the get-go.
That's not even the most frustrating thing. The most frustrating thing is like going up against like other like level 1 decks that are just optimized, right? Like 14 mana rule set with this, or even like standard, like they play what Cursed Windeku and something else, and like you go up and you're like, oh, I don't even know, like you know what I mean, like I don't even know what the value of these cards are, or what the best lineup is, but these bots have like literally hundreds of millions of battles of data worth, like informing them that like, okay, 14 mana this rule set or standard rule set, you're going to play these 2 cards or these 3 cards. And so yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is partially like earning your stripes, but I think Ben's onto a great idea. So when I don't play Magic the Gathering Arena or MTG Arena, but I was actually given homework assignment by the team to go study some of the music in there. So I downloaded it and I was playing and I went through and there was, to your point, a fantastic walkthrough tutorial with like voice narration and all that to help me learn the game, teach me how to overcome like certain battles or certain things. And, it's not all inclusive, but it was definitely helpful. And I haven't gone through the tutorial here in a while, but it's, obviously nowhere near what MTG Arena did. So hopefully we can get up to a point from a production standpoint that we can get, something like that out for new players.
I wonder if like Ghost Tony's will kind of help with that. Like, well, yeah, but I suppose then you'd have to, like you say, you can't just start a tournament without actually knowing the game, right? Knowing a little bit of the background to the game will help.
Yeah.
All right. So, sorry, go.
I was going to say, I think ghost tourneys are going to be good for players who already have a small understanding of the game, but want to see how the meta opens up. So it'll be like people who are already sold on the concept, but they just haven't like made the full investment in. Yeah. Whereas I think what Ben was talking about earlier was like, day one who just logs in and has to figure out how to operate.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea.
Well, we've got some good questions for Cryptomancer here in a couple of weeks. So if you're listening, Cryptomancer, what's the game plan for the new user experience, brother? It's coming.
Ooh, I'm excited for that.
He's going to be hitting land. That's his next big project, he said.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be great. we can use Cryptomancer on land. One land Cryptomancer. I feel like Cryptomancer drops some like random alpha in the map chat sometimes because he'll just like answer some questions. I'm like, I'm surprised that he just said that out loud.
Yeah.
So if he's working on land, maybe we'll get some updates.
Yeah, Aggie was like, Aggie actually said, like, what would you like to be working on? And he said, I'd love to get my teeth stuck into land. So
yeah,
that's good to hear. Okay, man, we are getting close. So should we hit the challenge? Are you ready?
Let's do it. I need to get my revenge. First time I was on here, I lost, but
well, it's against me this time. I haven't.
Played. It's against you.
Yeah, okay. I have played you actually. I can't remember winning you. Probably like Ben. But are you okay with the Goldie? I think me and you are.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, wherever you want to battle.
An interesting new option for us is gladiator cards are available in challenges.
Ooh.
Whatever you guys choose, I'm gonna play moderator's ban, no Quora. That woman is not welcome. Unwelcome.
Do you have one?
I do.
You do? Yeah. That card is unfair.
Yeah.
You have her.
I do as well. Yeah. So, well, send me the challenge, however you want to go about it.
All right. Yeah. I'm including gladiator cards.
Ooh. All right. No Quora though.
Hey, Aftersound, I heard something on your stream the other day. Maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember, but you mentioned rule set spamming, and ever since I heard you drop that, I feel like I have been getting the same rule sets for like 5 or 6 matches in a row. And okay. Is there any truth to that?
I mean, I don't know from an official standpoint, but I'm like, I am so tired of playing earthquake battles like 5 in a row. And
back
then I'll
to
get
basics,
like 5
man.
poison battles.
Back to basics.
Oh, back to basics. Just the worst. The worst of the worst. All right. I will not look at your screen. So I have mine pulled up here.
Yeah, I just realized I am.
So we've got no sneak, no snipe, divine shield, 30 mana cap, fire, life, death are available. And
sorry, I was trying to get my screen off, but tech savvy self can't do it. So
it's okay. I won't cheat.
Wink, wink.
I want to earn this win. Let's see. What are you gonna play? That's the real question here.
Send me a little SPS Aftersound. I'll tell you what he's gonna play.
What does Aggie say? Pry for my cold, dead fingers. Okay, can you go with this?
Yeah, we're supposed to be getting some new rule sets too. I feel like it was a couple of months ago that the team said, we'd be getting hot and heavy updates on new rule sets entering the game.
That's been disappointing too.
Mm.
I know at Splinterfest, I don't know if you caught this, or not you, but like Walking Keys or whoever was filming stuff caught it, but they mentioned like Thorns, Return Fire, and Thorns, Return Fire, and what was the last one? Oh, Magic Reflect as rule sets, where like essentially you are just going to be giving, or like all of your monsters will receive that ability.
As 3 separate rule sets, or
so like it's 3 separate rule sets. Like those were the easiest ones to add in. And so I'm like, okay, that makes for like an interesting meta, but I wanted something crazy. So hopefully we can get like more out of the box ideas. All right.
Okay.
I have submitted my team, but you let me know when. Okay.
I've submitted my team.
Oh, okay. You can go ahead and commentate, Ben, if you want. Oh no, I don't like who I'm looking at right now.
No. Okay. Go ahead and walk us through there, Kieran. What do you got, man?
Okay. So I just went pretty much magic, but looking at your first guy, the old conjurer, doesn't look too great. And I've just gone for Almo because I was expecting a little bit of ranged at the back, and you have. And yeah, that's why I threw in your man Riffwing just to reduce that ranged attack. And I threw it. Yeah, sorry, I went for death. I went for Thaddeus because I was expecting a little bit of magic. So we'll see how that goes. How about yourself?
So I went with Grandmaster Wraith, and I hedged my bets that you would have some kind of magic attack, but I didn't expect it to be this heavy. Otherwise, I actually was about to throw in Blinding Reflector as well, who has the Magic Reflect in front of Pelacor Conjurer. So that would have been a double Magic Reflect and probably would have worked better for me. But I only went with the Pelacor Conjurer up front. I have to hope that oh my gosh, see, I wasn't even reading the rules.
No sneak, no snipe.
Yeah, I threw Uraeus in there, and that dude's not going to do anything until everybody in front of him is dead. So this was not a good showing on my part, but I'm hopeful. Well, the Divine Shield is going to be very, very good for you initially. So we'll see. That the biggest problem for me, honestly, is going to be that dude up front, Almo. He's I don't think I'll be able to touch him for a while. And if I do get him with Venari Crystal Smith, who's at the back for me, then I'm just going to be taking damage.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I think you're the little lady here, the Celestial Harpy. That's the bane of my life, I think. She's going to hit me. Definitely. She's going to hit the Life Sapper. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. But
yeah,
she's going to hit first. We're all going to, we're going to have 2 that will hit you first, but they're going to reflect. So yeah, possibly she's going to be out as soon as I get the magic reflect from the Conjurer, and then she's going to hit the Life Sapper. So she's going to be out.
I mean, I'm hoping that was that card Celestial Harpy will be able to take out your 2 life leeches there. So Life Sapper and Venari Bonesmith. But I don't know. We'll see.
I normally go for opportunity. I don't know. I was trying a new tactic. What are you thinking, Ben?
I don't think anything matters here, because ultimately, if I can't make it past your Almo Cambio, Dr. Blight is going to eat me alive.
Yeah. That's exactly the name that was on the tip of my tongue. Is good old PhD Holden Blight. He's a master, and he's about to show it again. Though I think because you have so much magic, Kieran, I think your blight will be safe. I was going to say your blight's going to go down pretty quickly because of the reflect, divine shield, amplify, and resurrect. But I think Almo, the combination of Almo and all your magic is going to be a little bit too much.
Yeah, but he's going to have shield, right? And that's going to be constantly repaired by your lady here.
Oh, you've got 2 poisons going his way too.
Yeah, but my only chance is that I get rid of your 3 magic folks outside of Dr. Blight before you get rid of my 2 people up front. And I don't know if the math is going to work out for me in that way.
Okay.
All righty.
Because Dr. Blight can't poison. Dr. Blight can't poison Adelaide. So that's my only hope right now.
Yeah.
Adelaide and the Crystal Smith could be the winning combo, actually. If Adelaide moves to the front.
Yeah, and she'll repair as well. So she won't get poisoned or afflicted. So that's my saving grace right now. We'll see if it ends up.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm kind of veering towards you. I just think that opportunity from the Harpy is going to knock my guy out pretty quickly. Okay. Fingers crossed.
Get out.
Let's go, People's Guild. Observation here. Neither of you guys went for the gladiators.
Yeah, I totally forgot about them.
I looked, but there wasn't. Oh yeah, sticking the poison first round. Well done.
Return fire.
Okay.
Oh, he's stunned.
Miss.
But it doesn't stop him from healing, right?
The stun will still get repaired.
Knock him out. Oh, he's gonna come back though, isn't he?
So he's gonna come back
with the divine
Adelaide's
shield.
resurrected the conjurer.
Yeah, that's an interesting bug. The divine shield doesn't show on the resurrect.
That heal actually ended up being very clutch. Let's see if you end up sticking. You stuck the poison again.
Why does he not get? Okay, there you go.
Well, so I think there go my chances now.
Man, you were like 3 for 4 on the poisons, Kieran. That's pretty good numbers, bro.
Come on.
Now
give me the scalp. Give me the scalp.
I'm gonna take too much damage here is the problem.
Almost return fire. It isn't getting the Crystal Smith though.
See, I just can't hit it.
Yeah, almost too much.
Come on. That shield goes up again.
Adelaide's hanging in there, man.
Adelaide's
Uraeus will take down Elmo.
Maybe
he will.
Now you got the 11 health Riftwing.
His blight has can do more damage than mine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And my blight can't even stick up.
Uraeus has been stunned and poisoned.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be it.
Game.
Okay. I don't use Riftwing that much, but it's definitely coming.
It's been 8 turns. My blight hasn't stuck a poison. Oh well, actually, he was going up against Elmo the first 6 turns, so fine. Nice backfire! Just to throw salt.
Backfire, such an underrated.
And the
ability.
stun, you're just gonna bully me like that.
Right, and the poison for good measure.
Okay.
Well played, sir. Well, you're showing that the legendary summoners for Chaos Legion are not that good, or I'm just not that good with playing with them.
I was just gonna say, man, I feel like Wraith and Yasik are so much fun to play with the new cards.
They are. I wasn't expecting that heavy of a magic attack. I literally had Blinding Reflector, my cursor over him, and I was like, if there was green in the mix, like if Earth was in the mix, then I'd probably throw him in. But well played, sir.
Elmo was the X factor there.
Elmo was great. Yeah.
Almo for the win. Yeah, I don't know. Like with Jasic, isn't it just feels a bit like, especially when you play another Jasic, it just feels a bit like you just throwing the dice. It's just mental. Everything
Almost
just
too
going
random,
off.
right?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it works out in your favor, but a lot of times it's. I love playing with it, but it really is just rolling the dice sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest strength for me, at least what I found, and this is thinking prior to the last 10 days, because I don't think I have any sort of winning record to offer advice from. But when I first got Yasik, I was leaning so heavy on magic and ranged, and it's just too chaotic. It's tough to, the name of the game is to, target your damage. And that scatter shot is nice to avoid a taunt, but the speed piercing is where I think the real winner is. If you can, Uraeus and the Tenny striker with sneak and piercing and maybe a poison for a little added touch that's a dangerous combo.
I love him with any kind of like melee rule set. So like melee mayhem or super sneak or something like that. Cause then it's like you're getting 2 out of those 3 abilities and you kind of remove scattershot. And I think the +2 speed and pierce go a long way.
Yeah.
Grum with the 2 speed and piercing. That's just nightmare.
So do you think Jasik's main, is it just for you his speed, the fact that you can get your hits off before the other player, Ben? Is that what you're saying?
Speed is my favorite thing to lean real heavy into. Yasik, the Countess, the Supply Runner, the Venator, any way that I can buff my speed and limit the opponents is, that's what I'm gonna do. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how important the speed meta is. It's like it just the factor of speed difference just makes some games like impossible. So,
and it's even gotten even more extreme with Rift Watchers, right? With the enraged summoner, what's her name?
Scargor.
The Viking lady, Scargor, and the neutral taunt phase and an enraged phase.
Are you playing with that guy, the Coral Lurker?
Oh yeah,
you gotta be, right? So
oh yeah, so much fun.
He's a fun one.
Oh man, Aftersound. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on, man. We appreciate you stopping by, and know you've got a super busy schedule. So thank you for making time. It was a blast. Looking forward to the next time already, man.
I don't know, man. This is a lot of fun for me. I just appreciate you guys having me on. I'll be back next week to avenge my losses since I'm now 0-2 versus the People's Guild. Nah, man. Nah, but real talk, it's always a pleasure to speak with you guys. I have a lot of fun, and I feel like I learn a lot just hearing your perspectives and the different areas that you guys are coming from and how you're viewing the game. So hope there's a Splinterfest or some kind of event soon where I can actually see you guys face to face, shake your hands, and break bread or have a drink or something.
Well, if you end up coming to Splinterfest Barakai 2023, I fully expect the bard to be singing in Tagalog, brother.
You know what? You and my mom probably, right? So we'll see how much trouble I get into for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. It's always a great pleasure to speak to you, and I'm really happy that your channel just feels like it's going from strength to strength as well. And I said to you before, when I kind of wake up in the morning, I'm looking for, like, I kind of like do my search. Yours is at the top of my search, and that kind of is testament to how much I appreciate your show, man. So
I appreciate that, man. Like I said, I really happy to see what you guys have been doing with the podcast, and excited for the next couple episodes or whenever Cryptomancer's on. That's going to be another good one. So
2 weeks.
Looking forward to more stuff from you guys, and hopefully we'll get a chance to connect again soon.
Yeah, man. Anything you want to shout out real quickly? Personal, music, Twitter, YouTube, Pokey Rap?
Nah. If you guys are here listening, make sure you guys show them some love. Leave a review or something on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm good, man. I'm just happy to chat Splinterlands any day, all day.
You're the man, dude. Thank you again for stopping by, and happy belated birthday, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, everyone. You have been listening to
People's Guild.